Live from the Golden Circle Sports Bar inside Treasure Island, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. Cofield and Company here on this Thursday special edition. Usually do Fridays, our Football Fridays at Treasure Island. Today is a Football Thursday, Soccer Thursday. John Von Tobel is here, Treasure Island, Golden Circle Sports Bar, tracking a little baseball, World Cup as well. John, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Feeling pretty good. I always like coming out here to Golden Circle, so happy to be in this spot. It's busy, man. I think you're right. I mean, every time we talk about this during the summer, but there was no downtime. There was nothing to talk about. There was always something going on. There's been a busy couple of days.
No dead period. World Cup has helped that. Caitlin Clark has helped that. VGK helped it. Baseball, A's. There's always something going on. Busy show today. Very busy show. We'll catch up later this hour with our cultural contributor, Exavier Pope, at 3:40 on the NBA and the deal yesterday. A lot more to say about Jaylen Brown and what's going on around the league, what the Celtics did, what the Sixers got, what the rest of the league said about Jaylen Brown. World Cup games today. Spain, 3-0 winner.
Yes. Thank you.
Did you bet it?
I had Spain to win to 0.
Okay. Over Austria. And coming up in an hour, Portugal and Croatia. And the Swiss against Algeria. Anything on those games?
Nothing whatsoever. Although I do think Portugal is maybe a little heavily priced. But that's just my novice soccer thought after watching 3 games of them.
USA game last night. Lots of places around town, including this one, jam-packed for USA and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Entertaining game. Controversial at the end. We'll get to the controversy, but what'd you think? What was the atmosphere like where you were hanging?
I was hanging at, I know we don't name places. Do we name this place? Either way.
We like the folks over at Naked City.
Okay, yeah, we are over at Naked City.
Office.
And Office Bar. So I was hanging out there with some luminaries in the sports betting and sports media business. Is that the right word? Adam Hill of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, John Murray of the Superbook and others. We're out there having a good time. And it was fun. You know, I did not realize how into national pride some can get when it comes to, like, soccer, for example. And so there were many dap-ups and chest bumps and high-fives whenever Team USA scored in the 2 games that they did. And I thought Team USA mostly delivered. I was talking with Adam at it about halftime. I didn't think they had played particularly well, and yet statistically they were kind of dominating Bosnia. So it was a good performance from Team USA. I think you can be better, but it would probably be a little bit tougher without one of your better players tomorrow.
How much do you care?
You know, it's funny you
just
say
made
that.
The observation that, boy, you didn't realize how much people care. I mean, there are people who get really, really fired up.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking that to myself, actually, during the game, because Tuesday I had gone out to the Arts District to watch the Mexico game amongst many, 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 many Mexican supporters, and I was fired up for that, and I was really into that. We've talked about my connection with that and how much I enjoy it, and I feel like I root for him a little bit stronger. We talked about that with Ray Brewer of Las Vegas Sun a couple of weeks ago as well, before their group play game against South Korea.
I thought you guys were going to fight.
Yeah, I was willing.
Yeah, USA, and you were all pro-Mexico.
Going back to the things that we have talked about, Ray Brewer, on the list of people I could take.
Yeah, you sized him up.
Yeah, pretty easily.
I'm not going to fight you on that one.
Yeah. He won't fight me on that literally either. But I do.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
But I do think I feel more attachment personally to the Mexican side, so I don't find myself as gung-ho for the American side yesterday.
Wait, say that again? I feel more attached to what?
The Mexico side personally than I do the American side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, from a personal familial standpoint than anything else, you know. I don't want to get into the deep recesses of my mind and my emotional state with certain things that have transpired in my lifetime. The whole point here being is that I was excited, and it was cool, and I was decked out. I looked like an American flag. I had my white Air Force Ones. I had some bright blue shorts. I had my red USA polo and an American flag headband. I was decked out. I was supporting. But the emotion that I felt, and maybe it was also the crowd, like where I was watching the Mexico game at, I'm talking packed to the gills with a bunch of Mexicans. This one was, like 10 of us.
Okay. Yeah, for Team USA games or, international contests, I don't know that I have an intense passion about or for any of our teams except for USA basketball.
Yeah. It might be the sport because you're right. I really enjoy that.
I really get into that, and I really get angry and happy. USA Soccer over the years, my interest has kind of waned. I want to see them do well, but there's also a reality. Like, they're not going to win this, and if they do, then it's incredible. It's one of the biggest upsets ever. Like USA Hockey, I know people love that. USA Canada was a big hit, but I'm not truly a hockey guy. But for me, basketball, because it's our sport and because the rest of the world is catching up to us and because we spread the word of basketball, and now you see what it looks like in the NBA, where individually the top players aren't necessarily American players. And if you told that, those dream team groups that, hey, 25 years from now, your impact, or 30 years from now, your impact is going to be that we, the group of American players here, in the future will not be guaranteed to be the best individuals in the world. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, people have turned that into like American basketball is on the downfall. No, we spread the word. People love basketball around the world. It is probably the second most accessible sport next to soccer, football. So basketball is immensely popular, and it's always been my favorite sport to watch, to play. I can't play anymore. I'm old, right. But I'm very much into that. But I want to see Team USA do well.
Me too.
My emotions about Balogun and the red card are not like super high, but I can see where people are really pissed off right now because arguably their most dangerous player can't play in the next round, and there's been intense debate about this red card.
Yeah, so for those who had missed it or are not big on the soccer, Flo Balogun, a striker for us, Team USA, gets pulled on a red card in what, when you watched in real time, was a bang-bang play. You're going for the ball. There is no malice or intent. And you hear from the rules analysts during the broadcast, and they say just that malice intent has to be part of what you view for a red card. Clearly, that was not the case. And I think that's part of the problem is it's obviously not just not having your guy for the rest of the game. Flo Balogun is now also not going to be available for the game against Belgium, which is a massive loss for this team because you need all hands on deck as you advance, obviously, and against these European clubs that have given you some trouble in the past. Played Belgium in the lead-up. Kind of smoked us. Now, different starters, different groups, so you're going to, I think, perform in a different way. But the whole point here being is that it was kind of a ticky-tack red card. And logistically, when you talk about going back and viewing it through, by the way, I've converted, it is no longer VAR for me. I'm going with the European pronunciation, VAR. When you go back to VAR, you're not supposed to view it through the prism of a slow-motion replay over and over again. They did that. That is not what you're supposed to do either. And they come back with the red card, and now Balogun's screwed, and so is Team USA. So they're going to have to persevere without him. And, by the way, yesterday, although he got subbed off and he finished playing well over 80 minutes, Pulisic is still dealing with this calf thing. And that kind of bugged him a little bit yesterday, too. So now, at midfield, you might be a little hampered, and at striker, you're down a guy. It's a big deal for Team USA going into that game against Belgium on Monday. Monday Night Football.
So everyone's had an opinion on this red card, and like I said, I'm not mega soccer guy, so I back off on stuff like this, and I leave it to the experts. Here's former USA coach, former Virginia coach. I actually covered Bruce Arena. He goes back far enough at Virginia that I covered him when I was in college, when he was running that program. Here's Bruce Arena talking about what he saw, and he thought, hey, the red card was more than justified.
It's a dangerous play, and that fell, he could have broke the player's ankle, and you can see it there. And obviously, there's no intent by Balogun, but it's unfortunate. But you got to take into account the safety of the player, and that's a dangerous play. If the referee issued a yellow card, I could see that. But with VAR calling the referee over, and he sees that foul in slow motion, it's conceivable that he's going to issue a red card. And hopefully, it's just one game, and he's ready, hopefully, for the quarterfinals.
Okay. To me, the intent thing is still something I'm confused on a little bit. Here's Colin Cowherd, who's suddenly very much into soccer. He works for Fox. He works for Fox Sports Radio. He's on our sister station, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Here's Cowherd as he delves into soccer once again, talking about Balogun and the red card.
The egregious red card given to Folarin Balogun, he will not be able to play against Belgium up in Seattle. Okay, so let's just talk about that. First of all, intention matters. This was not intentional. I'm not sure he even saw the player. Secondly, the VAR, the review system, was created for facts, like goal, no goal, offsides, not offsides. It wasn't created to decipher intensity arguments.
Is that true?
I don't think so.
I don't have the answer.
I don't have the answer to that. I mean,
he sounded very confident in saying so.
That's why
that sounded like more an American take on American replay versus FIFA World Cup world-level soccer replay.
Well, and that's the tough part about this, and from a personal standpoint myself, I enjoy the sport of soccer. I'll watch Premier League games. I will do that. I am hardly an expert in any shape when it comes to the rules, the intricacies of it. The other night during the Mexico game, I learned for the first time that you can get a red card by covering your mouth. Didn't know that.
We talked about that at length yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm willing to admit to the masses, I am learning these rules as I watch every time, and I've been trying to watch more Premier League and soccer and take the game in as a whole. So I'm not going to argue with the intricacies of how VAR is supposed to work and what it's supposed to look for. I'm just listening to the people that know more than me, and from what I can gather, that was generally something that does not or should not happen, going back and looking at it through slow motion, given the nature of that play.
There was also a mention of the freezing of the replay. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But how do you prevent that?
I mean,
the
that's
replay officials just they're complete refusal.
Well,
because when you heard that bite from Bruce Arena, he paused for a second and he's like, "See," because they were showing the video during a podcast.
Yeah.
And it was very much like
Caitlin Clark
and Alyssa Thomas,
yep.
right? Because in Full Speed, that was, fist slips off the shoulder, it's a caress on the neck, she pulls it up. When you freeze it, it looks like someone is being murdered and got freaking hammer punched in the throat, and it was the same thing here. Bruce Arena looks up, and he just sees this ankle going the wrong way, and someone's spiking it, and you're like, that's a broken ankle.
Right. But then you watch it in real time, and you're like, oh, he's just making a play for the ball, and he's not even looking at him. He's looking at the ball and just hitting him with his hip so he can get positioned to go and get it. That's why I think with something like this, you should have to watch it at full speed. If you're going back and replaying it, you should have to watch it full speed to discern whether or not. Because I'm sorry, I've heard a lot of you can't decide whether it's intent or not. You can get a pretty good idea if a guy is purposely spiking a dude in the ankle or playing the ball.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of things being done on purpose at the end of Mexico and Ecuador, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
the hand over the face thing is a different case, but there was a lot over the last 10 minutes. It seemed like there was another 8 minutes of stoppage time with the referee just trying to work things out as they were going at it. Ecuador didn't give a crap anymore. They're like, we're going to get our pound of flesh. And Mexico was like, we're going to flop and fake and do everything we can to embellish.
That was, by the way, that was great. How every single one of the Mexican players was tattling on that guy that covered his mouth. They're like, look at him, he did it, get him out of here. And they were up 2-0. It was like the 87th minute. They didn't even need it. Nope, get him out.
We've got our great giveaway going down all summer long. Lotus Summer Fun. We're celebrating the 4th of July and the 250th birthday for America with some great trips, all domestic trips. This week's trip is to South Dakota and Yellowstone and such. Or you could take the cash payment of $3,000. How do you get eligible? It's really easy. Every day we have a different code word, a keyword that you can text in to 702-364-1100. It's the Lotus Summer of Fun, brought to you by Terribles, Bay Law Injury Attorneys, and ESPN Las Vegas. All American themed with the keywords. Today is country, like the music. Country, like a nation. Country. Country is the keyword. Text it in right now, 702-364-1100.
Hard to spell.
Now back to Cofield and Company, live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island.
Portugal and Croatia coming up in the World Cup. 2 more games today. The Swiss are playing later. I got a lot of questions about the World Cup, and I know Adam Hill from Cofield and Company, RJ, very into the World Cup, very into soccer, very into football. So we're going to talk to him at 5:30 so he can help answer some of the questions. But I'm going to ask a couple of you, and I'm going to reference something. It's very random. The other day, as much of what I talk about is random. The other day we had Chuck Powell on. He works at KJR in Seattle. He's the morning host on radio there. And he's not a soccer guy. Well, Seattle's a soccer city. So we, frankly, on sports talk radio shows don't have to talk about anything that you think we need to talk about. We need to be speaking and giving opinions on stuff that we have some knowledge on and have opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So forcing it, as I point out, I like that Colin is trying. I like that our buddy JT the Brick is trying. I don't know that they're soccer guys, but they're trying. And Chuck said something that struck me. He's like, my goal coming into this when I'm covering it was to try to be as positive as possible on soccer. So he said, I don't like it. He's like, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to try to be as positive as possible. And I try to be as well. And I probably like soccer more than all 3 of those radio guys I mentioned.
Combined.
But it's not a demeasuring contest. I do. But I also, there are things about soccer that drive me nuts. And I don't want to ruin the beautiful game, and because there's a lot of cool things about it. But
Sounds like it.
the officiating, like the Balogun thing, I'm not going to fight on. The red card, I'm not going to judge red card validity or not. I do think that officiating is way too big a part of soccer. I was joking before we went to break about the end of Ecuador and Mexico, and the flopping by Mexico was out of control. Mm-hmm. I also did not know about the covered mouth thing is a violation. So an Ecuadorian player covers his mouth. He walks up to one of the Mexican players, and it looks like he's saying something. And when I saw it go to replay, I was like, okay, like, what are they doing? And then I see him come out with a red card. I'm like, wait, could he hear what he was saying on video with his mouth covered? And I texted Parles, who's very much, Jeff Parles does the show a lot. He's very much into soccer. And Jeff's like, no, it is a violation. As you said 5 minutes ago, it is a violation to cover your mouth at all. Yep. Which then brings me to, how childish are we at the end of games? Why is the Ecuadorian player even doing it? Why is he doing it?
Right.
That's so dumb.
I'm sure. I think he.
To me, that's the equivalent of. No, I can't even say it's that, because, like in basketball, I always thought a really weird rule was, someone gets a foul called on them, and they take the ball and they spike it, and the refs are like, automatic tee, and you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
I
equate it. I was just going to say, I equate it to a guy who gets ejected at the end of a game that they're getting blown out in. Okay. I think the Ecuadorian dude knew they were done.
So he wanted a red card.
He was frustrated.
Do you think he said something?
Oh, I'm sure.
There was some Mexican slur?
Yeah. Spanish, Steve.
You're right. Well, they wouldn't be a Spanish slur. No, I wasn't talking about language. I was talking about ethnicity.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But yes.
Like, what did he say?
Was he speaking Mexican to him?
Because then you also pointed out, like, there were several Mexican players who were like, like, pointing, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, look, you violated the rules. Get them out. Because they were still, look, crazy things happen in soccer, so you never know. Like, you're still playing a game. Get him out. If we get a man advantage, even in the last 90 seconds, I want it. I don't want him on the field if he violated a rule. I think that guy was just frustrated.
Yes, he was.
And of taking giving a hard foul and getting ejected or whatever it was. That's what it was. His day was done. He pulled the Draymond. The Venn diagram of the games in which Draymond gets ejected and the games in which Steph Curry got injured and he couldn't play. It's a circle, right? Every time Curry gets ejected, gets hurt, Draymond's got to get ejected because he doesn't want to play. I think it's the same thing here. He was just done. But I am surprised that was a violation. I didn't know it was a violation of that order.
People who love soccer, I think a lot of them cannot judge what I just said objectively. And that's also a problem.
You said it. I thought you said it well.
That the officials are way too big a part of the game. And listen, traditional American sports, it also is a big part of the game. I think they lean heavily on the officials. And when I heard, who's the Taylor Twellman, I think he was on one of the games early, whoever it was, one of the American announcers, when there was a play in the box, and I think it might have been an American player, where there was contact, and the analyst said he was disappointed that the player didn't play to the contact and instead kind of like shuffled through and cleared the contact, and he's like, I didn't like that. Like, so you're basically, it's SGA.
Yeah.
It's SGA.
So I would say, I think, and maybe this is what you're referring to too, is I don't know if they rely too much on the officials, or it's that the officials, in the way that soccer is crafted in terms of the rules and the officiating, have to make too many subjective calls. And that, to me, is the frustrating part. Going back to the red card and judging intent and doing those sort of things, it seems that there's a lot of, whether you want to give a free kick because they have the advantage or whatever it is, there seems to, most of the calls seem to rely on a subjective view as opposed to objective. These are the rules in pass interference. This is what it is. And pass interference, to an extent, can be subjective, but it's kind of like porn. You know it when you see it. These seem to be pretty subjective calls for the most part, and obviously they can swing a game, whether it's a penalty kick in a box or whatever it is.
How early did you get to your spot for your watch party? Were you watching Belgium and Senegal?
No, I was not. I didn't get there that early. The Mexico one, I had to get there at 4 for a game at 6, and it was already packed. But no, that one I did not.
I mean,
did see the
Belgium,
end.
Senegal, they were headed towards PKs, and instead Belgium got a penalty kick.
How about?
And that was a judgment call. And then there was a judgment call like shortly after where it was like an inch outside the box.
How about Adam Hill's bad beat in that game? Did you talk to him about this yesterday?
No. I had no idea.
When they were down, when Belgium was down, he bet Belgium to win in penalties.
Yeah.
And the irony of them winning with a penalty kick right before it would have been penalties is absolutely brutal.
Is there any way you can bet that to win? Can you bet once the overtime start?
He had bet them when they were down 2-0, but I mean, to win by a penalty kick specifically, because Adam's bet was to win in PKs.
Because there were multiple winning. There were multiple. No, there was. We know one of the winning bets was draw.
Yeah. Yes, because that was in regulation. That was a draw.
And then how do you win in the overtime? Is there a bet then?
That would be to qualify or to advance.
Oh, to advance.
Yes.
So that's why they use that language.
Yes, that's the difference. Yeah, qualify, advance, same thing, but yes. So to advance is just a basic money line play.
Okay.
Just win the game no matter what.
Oh, you can do that before the game?
Yes, you can do that before the game.
So once it goes to the overtimes and it's 2-2, what can you bet?
You can just bet. You're just going to bet to qualify or to advance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, now I know. Now I can make bets on games.
Yeah.
We were on the air, so I was going to make a bet. I actually was. Before the game, I was going to bet Senegal. I thought Senegal was something like 5-1 to win.
Okay. And
so
on the three-way?
Obviously, I would have gotten screwed on that one.
So,
I would have gotten emotional and into the game very much.
There's a lot of fun ways. Like we're watching the highlights of the Spain-Austria game, and I bet Spain to win 0. So just win and don't give up a goal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, because I didn't trust Spain's offense, their offense has been pretty shoddy. They've been pretty dinged up at the forward spot. So I was expecting, all right, let's just see if they can just win and shut them out, maybe 1-0, whatever. So to win 0 is another way that you can do it, and they ended up winning 3-0, so you win the bet.
So in American English, that would be win by shutout.
Correct, yeah. Clean sheet.
Win to 0.
Yeah.
Okay. It's their game. They can
label
it the way they want.
I was chastising Stormy Bonatoni earlier today because she was like, and you have bet this game for Spain to win without giving up a goal. And I was like, just, you pig-headed American. Like, say it properly. It's to win to 0.
Is she going to pull a JVT on you as you did with Adam and I years ago where you just got fed up with the ball busting?
So she has already?
Has she snapped on you?
There was. What did I say?
You really push, John.
I do. But I'm not like mean like you guys. I don't think she would like me saying this on the air, but I will say it. She's not listening. I don't know what I said. This is actually a couple of weeks ago, right before we were going back on the air. And I just said something to her, and she turns to me. She goes, "Shut the bleep up." And I was like, okay.
She learned.
I started laughing.
Good. She's learning.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. Everyone needs to toughen up and fight back and don't get bullied.
That's right. I was like, I'm proud of you.
She had watched you months before screaming at a fellow VSiN employee, both of you telling each other to F off, and the next day you came in and everything was normal.
We're friends.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Today's a big day down at the Plaza with William Hill Sportsbook. As up until 7 o'clock, if you get down there and you're watching World Cup soccer, you put in a bet, a minimum $25 World Cup bet. You can get your hands on an exclusive William Hill 2026 World Cup soccer shirt. Kit, shirt. These are while supplies last. It's one per customer, but you play $25 on a World Cup bet today before 7 o'clock while supplies last. It's only at the Plaza, so get on down there if you have time. You can get a William Hill World Cup soccer shirt courtesy of William Hill Sportsbooks. On the way back, we got some wrinkles coming up in the Summer League that I want to get into. We have to break down a lot of what happened the last 24 hours, really the whole week. It's been an explosive week since the opening of the legal tampering period around the NBA.
It's Cofield and Company, live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island on ESPN Las Vegas.
We're about 5 minutes away from giving away some more NBA Summer League tickets here on this Thursday. Special edition of Cofield and Company, a football Thursday with the World Cup rolling out 2 more games down here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. John Von Tobel is the voice you hear. It's Cofield.
I thought it was Friday. I was actually wondering why we didn't play Friday at the beginning of the show, because obviously we're always here on Friday.
Violation. James knows what he's doing. Yeah, you can't cheat it. Fridays are true Fridays. So the NBA Summer League is coming next week. Summer League is here for 25-plus years now, and they're using the league to institute some new rules. But apparently this is not a new rule. Do you have a decent understanding of this free throw thing?
I understand the rule. I did not know it was not something new. Where is it implemented else? Is it like G League?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I don't know if they do it full time. I just read a quick note.
So the rule is pretty simple to understand. Essentially, what it is it is the one free throw rule for audience. So you're going to see this. Pretty simple. how many free throws you're awarded. So if it's a and one, or if it's 2 shots, or if it's 3 shots, instead of taking that amount of free throws, you will get 1 free throw, and it'll be worth that amount of points. So you get you take a 3, you get closed out on too hard, you miss the 3, but it's called a shooting foul. So instead of taking 3 free throws, you'll just take 1, and that 1 free throw will be worth 3 points.
Really?
Yeah.
So sort of like getting rid of the intentional walk nonsense in baseball.
Yes, and so then
it's a little different, though.
It's a little different.
I think it's a lot different. I mean, 3 of 3 is not guaranteed. We know.
No, that's like a high value 1 free throw. That's insane to get 3 points on that. And to close the distance, so to take a 3-point shooter and say, "Here you go, buddy, go to the free throw line and take a shot at 3," is pretty nuts. Now, like you said, the intent, I think, is the same in that in the intentional walk, the intent is to speed the game up. I don't need to throw 4 pitches, save my pitcher's arm, whatever it is. What I find pretty interesting about the wrinkle of all of this, what have we talked about with the NBA over the last few years? There's a lot of possessions. These guys are running up and down the floor. Their bodies and the soft tissue has been worked more than any other generation of basketball players. They need to rest more. We need to get rid of these games, right? They need to play fewer games. So let's speed the game up and let's shorten the opportunities for rest during these free throws, and let's make these all just 1 free throw. Now, it's worth pointing out, standard free throw rules apply in the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter during overtime. So once you get to the last 2 minutes, it's back to 2 shots is 2 shots, 3 shots is 3 shots, and so on. But we'll see.
I'm open to watching it. I'm open to seeing it. I'm not going to watch it. It's going to blow by.
This is also where you test the
exactly.
Summer League, where people are actually watching too. Like I said, I like basketball a lot. I had no idea it was being implemented already in the G League. So here, where these games are on ESPN, where people are watching a little bit more, where you're watching AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson play each other on that first night on Thursday and things like that, where you get people now to watch it and take it in and see how they would like it as well and the reaction to it. This is how you test it out.
Let's get at least one lucky listener. I was going to say a pair of folks, but only one's going to call in right now. Get you hooked up with some Summer League tickets right here in Las Vegas, NBA Summer League on the UNLV campus, July 9th to the 19th. UNLVtickets.com is where you can get your tickets if you don't win these. Call in right now. Caller 7-364-1100. We got a pair of tickets to the NBA Summer League, 364-1100. Up next, we go to Chicago, and we'll get Exavier Pope's take on Jaylen Brown. We got a lot of Jaylen Brown takes the rest of the way because that was a crazy trade yesterday.
You're listening to ESPN Las Vegas, live from Golden Circle Sports Bar inside the Treasure Island.
All right, 40 minutes in. We've barely mentioned NBA moves the last couple of days. Yesterday was an explosive day for the Lakers. We'll get into that. Jaylen Brown, that was shocking, although we're getting more information on it. It kind of makes more sense. Doesn't mean it's the right move, but it's making more sense with some of the narratives that are being released. JVT's here. It's Cofield. It's a Thursday. Treasure Island is the site. So, I mentioned my significant other all the time because she's a big sports fan, and oftentimes she's on social media more than I am on fan pages, team sites. And she brought up to me yesterday, she's like, "Hey, did you see what they're calling the Lakers now?" I was like, "No," and she's like, "Oh, the Snow Time Lakers," and she started laughing. I was like, "Okay, I guess that makes sense." So what's that a reference to?
How could she laugh?
Why, are you offended?
Yeah, I'm offended. It is a reference to the obviously the Showtime Lakers, but
sure.
Snow, I don't know if people know this, is very white, as is the roster of the Los Angeles Lakers at this point right now.
So Luka, Kessler,
yep,
Reeves, the
Luka,
lead
Kessler,
dogs.
Reeves,
The
yep.
big three is the Snow Time Lakers, not the Showtime Lakers.
That's right.
All right.
And you want to take a crack at his name? I can rattle it off.
What, Sandro Mamu?
Sandro Mamu Kelishvili.
I'm just going with Mamu from now on.
Once you get into it, it's just like going downhill. Mamu Kelishvili.
Let's bring in Exavier Pope, who has a sense of humor. I don't think he's going to be all offended here. I guess Stephen A. Smith, because everyone gets annoyed with Stephen A. no matter what he does.
Xavier wouldn't get it.
He was going on and on about the Snow Time Lakers and a bunch of whites. EP, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Do we need to get all offended? We need to get all offended at Stephen A. and the new moniker of the Snow Time Lakers.
But if you go on, he didn't get that. He didn't make that up, guys. So this is something that's been going on online, since just before it happened. That the Lakers now are the Minneapolis Lakers. The George, ready to put George Mikan in there. That was a time when the league was all white, and the Lakers look like they're gonna make the Lakers white again. So it's kind of a jokey thing, but I think it just lends to, the Bulls kind of went that route a little bit. There are more talented white American and white European players in the National Basketball Association. So it's kind of a strange sight, but that's what happened. Now the Lakers have moved on from LeBron James, and now Rui Hachimura, and so that's where the nature of the team is. Whether they're going to be successful, doubt it.
Snow time Lakers. Stephen A. Smith said this. By the way, can I do a Stephen A. Smith impression and not offend?
Do
I have to be careful? Because what do I do?
You just get loud like this. Because now the Los Angeles Lakers are now a snow time Lakers. Are they good enough for LeBron James? I don't know. But LeBron James was never good enough to get the Lakers 2 championships anyway. But now, you guess what? The Knicks are the champions. And everybody has to respond to what the New York Knicks has done in the National Basketball Association.
All right. If I read what he said, but I do it as like exaggerated Steve Cofield white, is that okay? Like, your 3 best players are white dudes. This ain't golf. We got a whole bunch of brothers on Team USA. This is basketball. What y'all think this is? Okay. Now the reason I asked, I didn't want you to do the Stephen A. impression.
I might take offense to that one.
Well, the reason I asked, I was like Eddie Murphy doing white guys back in whatever comedy routine. No, the reason I asked is I thought it was really interesting the other day that Riverboat Ron DeSantis decided to do an impression, and that came down as real offensive.
Yeah, he's had an impression of Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader in the House, in terms of the things that are going on in that state. And Ron DeSantis, who has plenty of different charges of being racist. And John Oliver from John Oliver So said, I never heard of the blackface without the makeup. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't want to say on that one we need to lighten up, but that kind of sets a tone, and then people get worked up. I'll say the other way. Right now in Boston, they're very worked up because they don't know what just happened with Jaylen Brown. That deal looks weird with Brown being sent to the Sixers. Exavier Pope is with us here, talking a little hoopage, and we'll get to some other good stuff here on this Thursday. What do you think of the deal, and do you have a better understanding of what exactly happened?
Yeah, I think that Jaylen Brown's his relationship with the Celtics seems to have soured over time, and at some point they decided that they wanted to take a player who's been often injured, who's 7 years older than him, and Paul George, who's been traded a million different times for a lot of different assets, and now he goes to Boston. Doesn't see how this makes the Boston Celtics better, but it definitely, in my opinion, one of the best two-way players in the NBA, makes the Sixers, who had a pretty decent run in the playoffs last year with Paul George playing a little bit better in the playoffs, puts them as potential championship contenders in the East.
With the Jaylen Brown dynamic, though, Xavier, it seems kind of odd because you can have your relationship issues with your team, but it seemed like the league as a whole did not value him the way that a player with his blind resume you would think be valued. Is this a personality thing? Is it the dislike of the twitch and outspoken nature of Jaylen Brown? Because it seemed like the NBA, I mean, there was reporting today that the Celtics were calling around trying to find suitors and that they couldn't find anybody.
I think that's cap. I think that, just as you've seen different reports around different players in the offseason, this happens every year where teams, try to say different things after the players is traded to kind of to muddy the waters about them, including they told Derek White was a better player for the team. Absurd. This is absurd. He wasn't. I don't think that as they came calling. They asked more from the Sixers than what they wound up getting, and so I just think Boston, once you as a team, you're showed that you're so ready to move on past the player. Other teams are chomping at the bit to fleece you for your assets, and I think that's really what pretty much happened. I think the Boston Celtics, they showed their hand. They were so ready to get rid of Jaylen Brown. They put themselves in a really tough bargaining position to be able to really get fair market value for him.
Is this proof that Jason Tatum hated him the whole time? Because if Jason Tatum would have spoken up, he's still a Celtic, is he not?
I mean, people are, but Jason Tatum is not really an outspoken guy in general, and so I think it's unfair to say that it was up to Jason Tatum to save Jaylen Brown. It was up to the Celtics after a guy who the team that was expected maybe potentially be in a lottery after Jason Tatum got injured and most of the year out of the lineup, wound up getting to 2 in the East, and it was a Finals MVP. It was up to the Celtics to show him and show the future of his career that they were on board with him, and I don't think that happened, and I think that rubbed the wrong way. Jaylen Brown is obviously very outspoken. People have been talking about him being outspoken on social issues and some of the history that goes along with Boston, some of the racism in that city, whether that contributed to him being traded. I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't think it's false either, but we'd have to find a little bit more about that. But I think that the team just undervalued him, and they wound up paying for it in the long run.
Well, another angle that has taken off, aside from his twitch and that, he's smart and he's outspoken, is maybe he's too smart for his own good, like the smartest guy in the room, and he's not coachable, he's not listening. Which brings me to one of the themes that we'll go on a tangent here. One of the themes that came out after the NBA draft. During the NBA draft, there were a lot of interviews with players, and mom and dad were present. That hasn't always been the case. Is there any conclusion to be drawn from this most recent draft that there were a lot of dads around, or is it too small a sample? Because a lot of people were claiming, like, hey, the sport's changed, it's more high stakes, dads want to be around, their money is needed to be around, to have these players playing at the highest level, or maybe there's a cause and effect. Hey, dads are around, so kids turn out to be better kids and productive basketball players.
No, I think, Steve, it's just changing the shape of how the game is covered. Moms, you hear a lot of guys. You think about Michael Jordan, his mom, the big deal around his mom, and they made a whole documentary around having to get past his mom to giving him a marketing deal. I think that just was something that was sold a lot for years, and I think that played into it. I don't think this is too small of a sample size to really judge whether that's the thing. But why are we even having that conversation related to the NBA, mostly black league, about what the impact of fathers and how that looks? I don't necessarily feel 100% comfortable with that being a narrative that's even being discussed. But
you know why? Because it took off, and we talk about we have several members of the cast of Fearless on, and that's Whitlock's show, so that was a big topic for that show. I want to go over to the WNBA, which has become just amazing red meat for places like Whitlock and Outkick. Doc Travis, his site. Alyssa Thomas had the fist on the throat of Caitlin Clark. It resulted in a lot of outrage. The internet explodes. She gets a 1-game suspension. She can speak whenever she wants. I think the timing, I think they have to realize the timing in this case is a little bit weird, but hey, if she feels like she's being threatened or she's gotten death threats. What do you think about Alyssa Thomas, the Phoenix player, saying, hey, I'm getting death threats, and then basically suggesting that the league needs to do something about it? I'm not sure what needs to be done.
Well, I think first making sure that she's secure at games. I think that's number one. If there's death threats, you have to be able to consider the security of the player, not just in travel. Because was it a couple of years ago? I forgot the player being accosted at an airport, and so making sure that they have. And the complaint was that the travel for the WNBA had a new CBA agreement, that the travel they were receiving was not put in position to be secure for someone just running up to them and if they had issues with them. And so I think that's not something that, maybe if she feels comfortable that the league has moved past that in order to give her secure travel, security at games. And so that has to happen. Unfortunately, the same people who won't say anything about the brawl over it with the Red Sox and someone being called and Wilson Contreras being called a boy, they're perfectly comfortable with that conversation being had, but not necessarily just roughing up in terms of WNBA and what happened with Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark.
And what stories like this lead to, because there's such a fury around Caitlin Clark, and it's been made racial, then we get fake stories out there. Like I know I saw on social media last night that multiple posts suggested that Alyssa Thomas had said Caitlin Clark needs to speak to her fans about this. I can't find that anywhere factually. But that said, does Caitlin Clark need to step up? If there are death threats being thrown after an incident involving her, does she need to step up and say something?
I think that I don't want to say she needs to step up and say something, that she does have a responsibility when her fan bases are people who generally really aren't necessarily fans of the NBA. They're fans of the cultural wars that are going on in our current politics. And I think that's unfortunate. And I've said this before on this program, that it's unfortunate she has to get in the middle of those conversations because she's not the origin of them and she's not driving those conversations. And so it puts her in an untenable position that she has to be able to respond to everything that's concerning her when there are people who have personal agendas that are outside of her.
I was going to say, like, it's kind of hard when they're not truly fans, right? Like, a lot of them are just using her as a prop and an excuse to do what she's doing, or to speak how they are, I should say.
That's exactly correct. I mean, hey, I have this view of Caitlin Clark being a star in all mostly black women-dominated sport. Oh, wow, this person becomes my, everyone's a fan of Eminem until Eminem decides to not have the same politics as you. I think that's, the great white hope thing that happens. And I think that she bears some responsibility in terms of recognizing that people are her fans, but they aren't fans of hers for the proper reason, and using that potentially to stoke violence is something that she doesn't have to speak on, but she does have a responsibility to say, hey, this is going on. It's because of me. I maybe need to be more conscious and more aware of how my image is being perceived.
Yeah, like Clay Travis, if she says something, Clay Travis isn't going to come out and be like, you're right. I should never speak like this. I'm sorry, Caitlin.
Yeah. Exavier Pope is with us in Chicago. He joins us every Thursday. Last thing on Caitlin Clark, there was a story yesterday in the New York Times /Athletic. Candace Buckner wrote, the story was headlined, Caitlin Clark experience isn't fun anymore. You agree?
I agree. I think the Caitlin Clark experience is not fun, but I think it's not fun from the standpoint of the conversation that's happening off the field, amplifying everything. Any foul is now being discussed for days, becomes its own news cycle, as opposed to what's actually happening. Why people should be talking about the WNBA All-Star game that's coming here to Chicago on the 23rd to the 25th, and all the cool things, and how it's an excitement around an All-Star game at the WNBA, and some of the different advances that the league is making. And now the game is going to be here, at the United Center, when, that was maybe a smaller venue would host the All-Star game. So it's just the league has grown, it's changed, it's evolved, it's become a more marketable sport. That's the conversation that people should be having about celebrating a league that's now been around for almost 30 years and now it continues to thrive.
EP, we got less than a minute left. What's this story with Chris Brown, a dog, and a housekeeper where he just had to pay out a bunch of money?
Yeah, he had to pay out over with the $13 million for a housekeeper who he had a dog that attacked this person and tore off her face, and she had lost mobility in her face, and also had to pay a sister and her husband $800,000, $50,000 respectively, because it probably made it worse by not settling, but also made it worse because he fled for some reason after it happened. So he has a new album out that seems to be pretty popular, but definitely he will take some of that paycheck out, having to have to pay this big judgment.
EP, have a good weekend. What do you got cooking in Chicago for the weekend?
Cooking on the grill, Steve, of course. Sizzle.
If I come over and you're grilling and I'm a meat eater, do you deviate? Do you cook me meat?
I can throw some meat on the grill. I still got some skills with the meat. I don't eat the meat, but I'm still cooking the meat. But the best thing you'll probably love is my pineapple steaks, brother.
All right. Next time I'm in Chicago, which will be a while from now, but I'm down for it. Even if it's cold out, we're grilling. Let's go. See you, buddy. Love you.
Love you guys. Have a great holidays.
Exavier Pope.
Wow.
He'll cook meat for me.
Did he say pineapple steak or pineapple shake?
I think it was shake. I don't see him making a steak.
He's a vegan.
It's Cofield and Company, live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, 4 o'clock hours here. It's brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. You heard it. We're on in Reno, here in Vegas, ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. Battleborn Call from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Number is 766-1400. World Cup game number 2 of the day is off and running. Is hanging out at the Golden Circle Sports Bar. Croatia and Portugal. Von Tobel and Cofield. We got to wrap up hour 1. Exavier Pope was talking about grilling this weekend. I think he went away from the grill theme and mentioned a pineapple shake. Do you trust vegetarians or vegans to cook you meat? I think that was a question that we needed to get out of him, but we ran out of time.
Like, actually,
should I trust you? He's not. I mean, he's been a meat eater in the past, so like he said he can still get the meat down.
Actual meat, though, not a meat substitute.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I mean, sure. I mean, it's basic. It's just salt, pepper, and just cook it. So I would trust a lot of people,
especially if it's like a hot dog or a hamburger. Just don't burn the hamburger.
Right. So yeah, I would trust.
Don't leave it mooing.
Yep.
Although I like. A lot of people don't like their hamburgers rare. I kind of like it more on the rare
side.
Bloody.
To the point of being able to ask Exavier, because one of my questions, my follow-ups was going to be, I know he is a vegan by choice. Does he, when he is cooking meat for his non-vegan friends, family, does he still try it to make sure it is, a little nibble just to try if it's how it tastes, flavor, things like that?
Or even more concerning, I have a friend, a female who is vegan, and she attempts to, if you go out to dinner with her, she attempts to ruin everyone else's meal by talking about how disgusting meat is.
Oh, see, that's the worst. I feel like Exavier is not that, but, I mean, he could be. That stuff's like, stop. You're making a choice. Get out of my face.
Not my choice. Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah. Oh, and you're not going to. That's the other part.
Oh, I'm going to eat more.
Yeah, exactly.
You're inspiring me.
Dirty secret is this cow was already dead before we walked into this restaurant.
Big Four.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents The Big Four at 4. Number 4.
All right, John Von Tobel, our Las Vegas basketball tournament slate is shaping up for 2027, the 26-27 season, and the LVCVA is going to invest in the Pac-12, the new Pac-12 basketball tournaments. The note comes out today that the WAC, which is now the United Athletic Conference, will not be in Vegas. That has been here over at the Orleans since 2011. So now we've got Mountain West, Pac-12, Big West, West Coast Conference, and Big Ten women's tournament is here. We'll get to that in a second. The important note, well, let's address this first. There are some UNLV fans and some Mountain West fans who are like, what are we doing? Why is Vegas with UNLV here not in the Pac-12? Why are we hosting this tournament? Get out.
Oh, the Pac-12? I mean, I agree to an extent. They're not doing it at T-Mobile anymore, correct? So they did have to change venues. I guess that's a small victory if you're talking about that.
It's a technicality.
Yeah.
Because the Big Ten has it booked the next 2 years.
Sure. That's a fair point.
I don't think they could fill.
I don't think so either.
I think that would be suicidal to try to do it in a building that holds 19,000. MGM Grand Garden Arena is probably closer to the size venue they need, but I think there's a lot of people who are like, hey, this is a state-run, state-funded institution in the LVCVA. Why are you spending money with schools, with a conference that is trying to debilitate both Nevada and UNLV?
I think it's fair, but I also think that ignores some of the positives you will get as a community. People coming in, spending money, all those sort of things. So I would not ignore that.
Next issue. Did you see what they're doing with the tournament format?
No, I did not see this.
They have a double bye for the top 2 teams.
For the Pac-12? Stop. Get out of here.
Just like they've done in the West Coast Conference.
Yeah.
So now a conference with Gonzaga, San Diego State, Utah State, Boise State, and CSU arguably at the top. 2 of those teams, even if it's a narrow split from second to third, will get double byes into the semis.
That's ridiculous. You're not a conference that is like the West Coast Conference of old, where you had those 2 powers at the top that generally you don't want to risk them getting out because every year they were the best programs. And then you had the odd year where, a team would spring up and maybe take a 2 seed, whatever it was. You're all pretty comparable to one another. And you all probably have really solid resumes, or would hope that you're going to be competing for at-larges. It's absolutely ridiculous that you would do that.
Why bend over backwards for, in this case, I think Gonzaga, most importantly, but also San Diego State.
Yeah.
When you're Utah State and Boise State. You think Boise State fans, I mean, they can't be looking at it like, oh, they did that for us. I mean, they are a good basketball program, and they have a tradition, and they have some pride, and they have some arrogance, but they know the way San Diego State spoke in the Mountain West, and we know the way Gonzaga is. Why agree to this?
I have no idea. That makes no sense whatsoever. And for the formal Pac-2 that is put this together, Pac-12, like, it doesn't benefit you guys in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to be, I'm sorry, I'm going to call the shot now. You're not going to be those teams regularly at the top. That's stupid.
The other note from this that I mentioned, as far as I know, well, I guess from a date standpoint, maybe it was available, whatever. I want to build on the point that if people don't know, the Big Ten booked their women's tournament this year and their men's tournament next year in Vegas. The women's tournament is at T-Mobile from March 3rd to March 7th. Feels a little risky to me in terms of the size of the venue. You never want to have optics because we're the ones who often look bad in these cases.
Yeah.
And this is a market that for very select men's basketball games has shown up at T-Mobile, like Duke and Gonzaga games. But there's been a lot of games there where there's 4,000 people there. This is not a locals event. How is the Big Ten women's tournament going to do at T-Mobile?
I assume not particularly well.
Better be some really good travel specials to bring people in from the Midwest.
Is part of the...
Well, okay. Let me stop the point right there.
Okay.
UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten, and they could arguably next year be the top 5 teams.
They could be very good. I think that's part of it.
Travel that well?
Obviously, like the West Coast, the Oregons of the world, Washington as well, if you get those fans out there. This might be too hardcore of a gamble, but I'll throw it out there. If you're the Big Ten as well, do you gamble on the presence of the Las Vegas Aces here and think that support for women's basketball in many different communities that also can host a college tournament, Las Vegas would be one of the better ones to draw the random fan?
I will say this to the Big Ten. Do not come in here in arrogant fashion and assume people are going to buy your tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You better have really aggressive promotions and ticket specials, especially for locals. Now, the Big Ten men's tournament, we'll see. I think they'll do fine at that arena. People will travel.
I've always thought...
Jesus, Wisconsin by itself might bring 10,000 people.
And I view this through the prism of media, so this is probably inaccurate. But I always felt that when the Pac-12 tournament came here that we were viewed as the outsiders. Like, you're coming to our tournament?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just always felt
locals?
that. Yeah,
or local media?
local. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm viewing it from the media perspective.
Okay.
But, I mean, maybe from locals as well. Nothing comes to mind when I think of Pac-12 tournament when it used to be here at, like, T-Mobile and specials, locals, advertisements, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Nothing really comes to mind. And then, of course, just the media perspective of, like, oh, you work for Vegas? No, sorry, we don't have room for you.
Number 3.
Number 3.
We had a story break a little while ago, which is pretty big on the national level and certainly locally. Polymarket, one of these prediction sites, are they actually trying to go head-to-head with one of our big contests here in town with a Survivor contest?
It sounds like it. And you can see the wording of it, which is a direct shot. So Polymarket Splash Sports launching the biggest Survivor contest in history. $21 million guaranteed. Picks each week. Last person standing wins it. As they put in the tweet, skip the flight to Vegas and play from your couch all season long. It's also notable that this $21 million just happens to be, let me check my work here, I believe just $1 million more than what is being offered in the big Survivor contest here. $20 million guaranteed.
With Circa.
At Circa. I never know if I can mention.
What are we supposed to do with these prediction markets? Because I don't know if it ran for more than a day. We had commercials running for Polymarket, and it was really smashing. It was really, well, it was Polymarket in this case.
Okay.
On ESPN Las Vegas, and it was really smashing sports books, which is, part of our local business. And, right now we're at Treasure Island. They've got the STN book here, and they kept going on and on about how crappy sports books are. And, part of it is I'm sure their frustration that they're not eligible in Nevada, although the commercial did say, because I think it was a national commercial, but the commercial did say, hey, we're legal in all 50 states. Like, you're not.
You're not.
How do we treat these prediction markets? Especially, I keep going on and on, the fact that there seems to have been, this part's not seems. There are allegations that there's been insider trading.
Well, Steve, you should mention that the network I work for full-time has and is currently doing business with Polymarket, so I will be
okay.
full disclosure there. And I would also mention, just to go back to the Survivor
So
contest.
I guess it's all okay.
Yeah, I think they're great.
You guys are but you guys are housed at Circa.
Yeah, well, and I mean, there's some details in those relationships that I'm not privy to, but I would also say that there is a difference in the Survivor contest that should be noted. There are, I believe, 3 weeks in which you have to make 2 picks in the Polymarket / Sports Survivor.
Oh wow!
Where in the circuit contest you only have to make 1 pick a week. So it's a slight difference in what you've been doing there. But either way, look, they're directly taking shots. They're coming in and trying to compete. Like you mentioned, they're not legal here, so we cannot do that. We cannot wager on them. But I think it's very clear, and much like, I shouldn't say much like, but consistent with sports betting at times. There was the big deal with insider trading when it came to missile strikes and military movement, where somebody was betting really hard on some of those, and they were getting that down, and they eventually got found out. Those are going to be problems, and it goes back to what we talk about all the time. We can invoke Jonte Porter, Tara Rozier. People can wring their hands over legalized sports betting all they want in the commercials. Those players, we just saw Malik Beasley get indicted the other day. All of these people get caught because it is legalized and monitored, and that is a big difference.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Now, I liked how we kind of danced around there a little bit. Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I was mentioning sportsbooks, and you're mentioning partnerships with prediction markets. There's news out of the golf world. I mean, the front end of the story is not surprising. What is Jordan Spieth complaining about now?
Okay, so this is incredible. So for those who didn't see at the end of the U.S. Open, Wyndham Clark is in contention, and he's just getting heckled like crazy down the stretch. People just don't want him to win. And there's a lot of different reasons why. But like a big part of it was going back a few years when he destroyed the locker, not a likable guy, whatever it is. People were just heckling him, didn't want him to win. So Spieth at his press conference the other day is asked about fans and treatment and had he seen anything like Wyndham Clark before. And what bothers you is at one point, and he kind of goes on, it's just like, we've kind of seen this here and there, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things he mentions is the crowd being different because of sports betting. That these people have $100,000 to $10,000 on the, as he puts it, the field versus Wyndham, which they don't. That is not something that is offered. But he's alleging that they're doing this because sports betting is becoming more prevalent and these people are putting money on it.
Okay. You know what? I admire that. I don't agree with it, but that is taking a tough stance. Good for Jordan Spieth. He clearly doesn't like sports gambling and doesn't like the proliferation of the sports books around the country. Good for Jordan Spieth. Take a stand.
Jordan Spieth is a FanDuel partner.
Wait, what?
Jordan Spieth's last 3 tweets are all promoting FanDuel.
Wait, what?
Yes. Now, here's the thing. I think it's fair to ask Jordan Spieth, can you separate the two? Can you be a FanDuel partner and take that money while also criticizing what it has done to our society? It should be asked. Nobody followed up. They just let him say that.
Right.
And, by the way, I watched the press conference, okay?
Yeah.
So before I make declarative statements, I made sure to watch that stupid press conference where they're slobbering all over him because he's Jordan Spieth. Not one person followed up. Jordan, you're a FanDuel partner. How do you separate those two things? Nobody.
Up next on Cofield and Company, I will rail against gentlemen's clubs and the evil that they spread. Oh, wait, I've done 400 career shows at strip clubs. Maybe I shouldn't be speaking on that. My bad.
It's Cofield and Company, live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, coming up on the 20th minute, Portugal,
It's called, I mean, yeah, I can see that.
and Croatia are scoreless. Yeah. All right, we're good to go. I love it. JVT's here. It's Cofield. Let's go to somewhere around Vegas. One of our buddies from the Sporting Tribune is hanging out in town because he's playing in the World Series of Poker, but he's part of the crew that does Sporting Trib today. Also does podcast with the Grid Network. Josh Tariff is up on Cofield and Company. Talk a little NBA. What's up, Josh?
How's it going, guys? Good to be here.
We're good, man. We're good. I know you had strong takes on a lot of the NBA stuff that was happening in the last couple of days, and since you guys are based in L.A., I wanted to come out of the gates and get your take on what the Lakers did. First of all, the big prize was Walker Kessler. Not everyone loves that move. What about you?
I'm honestly not too crazy about it either. I really felt that we had like a PTSD flashback of Timothy Mozgov signings almost 10 years ago to the day, because it came to Rob Pelinka just going, who can we get right away so we can tell the fans we got players? And Walker Kessler, good player when he's healthy, but he's played 63 out of the last 164 games. So he has not shown the consistency to get a $30+ million contract. Now, if he comes back healthy and improved this season and is that low post rim protector that he was, heralded to be when he started out in Utah, then maybe it works itself out. But for a long-term deal without any real healthy seasons to back it up, I think it was a tremendous mistake.
You say that he did it to present it to the fans, but I'd argue, didn't he just do this to present it to Luka? Because one of the things they really need is a very good big who can catch lobs and do those sort of things. It's why I always mess this up. Luka is Lithuanian, correct? That's why Jackson Hayes is now part of the Lithuanian national team, because he loves him so much. I thought this was more a move about showing Luka, please don't get mad next offseason and threaten to leave.
It could very well be that, but at the same time, if they don't advance and don't get any better, wouldn't Luka still be mad either way? Because Luka wants to win with, obviously, the players that they want. So, yeah, sure, this could be a way of, hey, Luka, look, we're trying. Here's a guy that fits your mold. But if they don't get better, then why would he suddenly change his tune?
That's fair. I think the other pieces, too, that you're looking at, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes. Overall, what did you make of what Rob Pelinka tried to pull here?
I do really like the Colin Sexton deal. I think that one is very, very friendly in terms of he is a guy that can definitely put up points. You could start him if you want. You could have him be backing up Austin Reeves if you chose. So I think that one was definitely a good pickup. Quentin Grimes, I think they're hoping they find a genie in a bottle and they get the Quentin Grimes that started in Philly when they put him in the starting lineup and was averaging over 20 points a game. So they're hopeful for that. But then, he is still with that player option. Again, longer contracts, a 4-year contract for Kessler, 4-year contract for Grimes. So they're really trying to invest with these for the long haul. I just don't really see, even with these new additions, if this team is much better, if at all better, than the team that we just saw this past season.
Mm-hmm. By the way, a correction for our audience, Luka is Slovenian. And so, too, now is Jackson Hayes, because he wanted to play with him on the Slovenian national team. I would generally agree with you. I think it's an interesting conversation of, is the talent better or is the team better suited to fit around Luka Doncic, where you have a bunch of guys who can hit, catch, and shoot threes and defend at a relatively average to above average level with a lob threat as a big. And while that team might not be better in terms of their overall talent, they might be better suited and maximized with Luka Doncic as their lead guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Luka, hey, you have the keys now. LeBron is gone. We're trying to make the people in your ideal scheme. So now you have to prove, along with obviously J.J. Redick's coaching, to prove. And I think J.J. Redick has done a great job for the rosters that he's had. But, of course, the city of L.A. is all about how many championships do we have? Why has it been so long since we've been in the finals? As good or as bad as they're doing, they just want greatness. And right now, there's a lot to prove to get anywhere close to greatness with this roster, especially, obviously the huge money that you just paid Austin Reeves and Walker Kessler and now Quentin Grimes. Can this roster be enough to compete with the Spurs and Thunder? Right now on paper, I say absolutely not, but I've certainly been wrong before.
Josh Tariff with us, part of the crew at the Sporting Tribune, talking a little NBA, talking Lakers. Let's go across the country to the trade that was made in the Atlantic Division between the Celtics and the Sixers. What do you think of Jaylen Brown heading south for not a mega haul on the way back?
Well, first off, I want to applaud you for reminding people that the NBA does have divisions, because many people forget that for some reason, because we just look at conferences, unlike the NFL with all the division winners. So extra bonus points to you for that. I think this trade was an absolute home run for Philly, because like you said, who did Boston really get back? I mean, you got Paul George, who is at the tail end of his career and is getting paid almost the same amount as Jaylen Brown is, so it's not a huge cap differential between the two. You got a couple picks. Those picks are going to be towards the end of the draft based on what this roster is right now. And also, you, late in the season, traded Anthony Simons to Chicago for Nikola Vucevic, who is now gone. And Anthony Simons just went right back to Philly now. So realistically, you traded Jaylen Brown and Anthony Simons for Paul George and a couple picks. This clearly turned into more so of a Boston trade of, hey, could we get the best players, or what can we do to spite Jaylen Brown the most? I know, let's send him to the team that he trash talked on Twitch after they eliminated us. And now let's see if he can, be a focal point and get along with that roster after you just bury them all when they just upset him. This was, to me, a petty trade by Boston, and Philly is going to reap in the rewards because all of a sudden you have Tyrese Maxey, you got obviously Jaylen Brown, who was an MVP candidate this year. If you got a healthy Embiid, you added Dean Wade for defense. Philly is now one of the top threats in the East by a mile.
Josh Tariff with us from the Sporting Tribune. That said, the other angle is when the Celtics called around, it's pretty clear the offers were not great for Jaylen Brown. I know you had tweeted a while ago, and I think we were all of the thought that Brown had some worth. You were saying that maybe Brown should go to Utah for Kessler, Bailey, and picks. That's not anywhere close to what they got for Jaylen Brown. What do you think it is with Jaylen?
Near that, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think it is with Jaylen Brown that the league does not like?
I'm still trying to figure out because obviously on the court, what is there not to like about him? The guy delivers when the moment counts. He can put a team on his back. Boston was supposed to be in a rebuild year this past year, and he single-handedly brought him to the second seed. So, and he's not necessarily like a troublemaker off the court. He'll say stuff, on his Twitch stream to anger, guys like, Stephen A. or other pundits, but he hasn't really done anything off the court to cause a whole lot of malice. And on the court, he is a top-tier competitor. Yet he was, ignored for Olympic consideration. He's ignored for MVP consideration. And now it's a matter of, okay, he's going to try to put Philly on his back and try to bring him something that they haven't gotten in over 40 years, which is a championship.
Hey, Josh, we got a minute left. I saw your take, which was interesting. I want the Vegas audience to hear it on the Giannis trade. You don't think the Heat made out like bandits with Giannis, huh?
I do not. I mean, obviously, don't miss a shot against Miami because he will get every single rebound between Giannis and Bam. But who is also going to be bringing the ball up? Who's going to be taking the threes? Who's going to be dishing the ball to Giannis and Bam? Davion Mitchell is not that answer. And the only player they've gotten up to this point is Tim Hardaway Jr., who's apparently the only news about that is from his dad saying, no, you can't have my jersey number. So Miami needs a lot of pieces still to be competitive, even though you got such an incredible talent like Giannis.
Josh, tell people what you guys have going on with the Sporting Tribune and the Sporting Tribune today, Sunday to Thursday.
Absolutely. We talk all L.A. sports, Dodgers, Lakers, Clippers, Chargers, Rams, you name it, we cover it every night on the Sporting Tribune. And there'll even be a couple people out there covering for NBA Summer League soon as well.
Excellent. All right, well, have a good time in Vegas. Good luck in the WSOP, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
There he is, Josh Tariff, who is part of the crew, the cast at the Sporting Tribune. You can find all of their content, writing, video, everything else, audio, at Sporting Trib up on Twitter. Giveaway time. Aviators coming up with a July 9th game against Tacoma. We've got a 4-pack of tickets. You can get your tickets if you don't win these at Ticketmaster.com. Call in right now, 364-1100, 364-1100. John, how dangerous has either Portugal or Croatia been in this game? I know we're both doing a show, so we can't watch it super close.
I haven't really seen much outside of the off shot here or there, so it seems pretty even up to this point from what I've been gathering. Possessions relatively even, and expected goals right in lock with one another.
We're about a half an hour away from John deep diving on what the Lakers did yesterday, because I'm very curious to get his take, especially on Walker Kessler and then Mamu, who I think is an intriguing player. They get household names and scorers and Grimes and Sexton. But on the way, we'll turn our attention to baseball, turn our attention to our hometown team, the A's. Bad news yesterday on the injury front, and they finally got a game from the Dodgers, so that was good. But it's not going to be easy coming up because they get a day off, and then they go against the team that was the best team in baseball in June, the Marlins.
Live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island, it's Cofield and Company.
All right, time for our A's Spotlight here on a Thursday. No A's game today. A's are back against the Marlins for a weekend series. You can hear the A's all across the LV Sports Network. So we are the radio home for the Athletics. Von Tobel, Cofield. Before we get to A's-specific news, baseball schedule pretty light today, but a couple of day games are in.
Oh, yeah.
Phillies lose to Pittsburgh 6-1. I want to reference something with the Pirates. Pirates are 44-44, so that would put them about, 5.5 games in front of the A's if they were in the same division. Pirates are one of the big surprises in the league. White Sox are a gigantic surprise. I will mention again, for the audience that doesn't hear me talk about labor relations and this previous offseason, I thought it was really interesting, and I pointed it out multiple times. I will mention again, I believe that baseball higher-ups on the baseball side went to the A's, the Pirates, maybe the Rays, but the White Sox as well, and said, hey, you know what, guys? Please make some moves and give the appearance that you're trying, that you're spending some of the money that we give you. And the White Sox went out and signed the Japanese slugger, Murakami, who got off to a really good start. That record is blowing me away. I think they hit their 44th win the other day. And at that point, John, they were 44-41.
They might win the division.
Last year, when they hit their 44th win, they were 44-80. White Sox made moves. Pirates went out and got Brendan Lau, who's on his way. I mean, if they actually were really good, he'd be an MVP candidate. He's been that good. So those are some pretty intriguing storylines. Obviously, the A's signed like 3 or 4 guys to long-term extensions. They're going to wait on Langoliers, or at least Langoliers and Kurtz are going to wait. So that part of baseball has been pretty intriguing. By the way, Reds win today. Good.
I was just going to say, to add to the Pirates' point, even making it more surprising, they have lost 9 straight Paul Skeens starts, including yesterday.
That was actually what I was going to mention. I forgot to mention it. That is nuts.
Yes.
And they're 500.
Yep.
And they can't win with him on the mound.
No, and he hasn't pitched well. He's got an ERA of over 5 over his last 9 starts, and he's just been getting blasted. His contact is his command has been awful. You saw it again yesterday, so you wonder if that's just a flash in the pan or what's going to happen. But that, to me, is also what's surprising is if I told you that they have lost 9 straight Paul Skeens starts, and yet still they find themselves in contention for a wild card.
Brent Rooker's down for the season. That's a bummer.
It is. It's a very big bummer for many reasons. First off, it's Rooker. But the second part is it is a big blow for a lineup that, Steve, all of a sudden, and it's a small sample size, but still, over the last 11 games, has completely disappeared. If you sort by the last 11 games for the A's, in which they are 3-8, they are 4th in weighted runs created plus, which is like a nice little catch-all statistic for your offense. 4th worst, I should say, in Major League Baseball over that span. They cannot find their offense anymore. Now, I don't think that's just the absence of Rooker, because it's just not those 11 games that he has been out. But it's a blow for a team that has been desperately trying to find, because this has been its identity. You don't have great pitching.
Yeah.
You were going to have to outslug almost everybody you ran into, and now all of a sudden they can't do that.
Jacob Wilson has been in and out for a while. Soderstrom is down. I don't think that Denzel Clark goes into the offensive equation, but obviously they've missed him. It's interesting, though, because they're bringing young guys up, and in spots they've been hitting. JKG came up this week. He debuted with 3 hits. Colby Thomas is starting to show some signs. That's a 2020 guy in the minors. I got a text from one of my buddies who really is like a hardcore A's fan, does not live in Northern California, but been an A's fan forever. And he was talking about Colby Thomas, and he goes, how many guys are in the A's minors that can effing rake? He goes, it is unbelievable. He says you should be able to go get some young arms with this overflowing of young stud hitters. Which...
You should or you will.
Well, that brings us to a discussion we can have as the show moves along. What should the A's do now that they've faded a little bit? The division's certainly not out of reach, but they've done such a wonderful job, their scouts, of finding hitters, and especially college hitters who are ready within 3 years. They have some pretty incredible depth, and like as an example, we're seeing all these hitters come out. You know, Tommy Tanks is probably going to be ready pretty soon as well. They have a lot of depth with their minor league hitting.
Now back to Cofield and Company, live from the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
World Cup going down with the 2 games here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. Croatia and Portugal still scoreless, 44th minute. A lot more coming up in the NBA and what happened the last couple of days with the Lakers and their moves, and then the Celtics shocking people with Jaylen Brown being moved for what appears to be so little. But as we get more and more information on this, I think it makes some sense. But we're just doing our A's spotlight. A's are off today. They start back tomorrow against the Marlins. You can hear the A's right here on the LV Sports Network on our trio of stations. We've got 4 stations, but 3 of the stations run the games at different times. ESPN Las Vegas and 12:30 The Game, and Fox Sports Las Vegas. Not Raider Nation Radio 920. What will the A's do here at the trade deadline? I've been pushing for them to add. If you've seen our videos, we put a lot of videos out from the show, and I've been constantly saying for about 3 weeks now, add. Get some pitching, get some pitching. Parles came up with something interesting yesterday. Before I get to that, though, I wanted to mention one of the other finals today, John. The Reds win 7-2. Reds are an interesting team because their pitching just hasn't been consistent enough. They've got arms. Their lineup has kind of fallen apart. They're still kind of hovering around that same level that the A's are. Like I said, today they win 7-2. They beat Milwaukee on the road. Chase Burns, it's interesting. You're really good with the numbers. Parles is really good with the numbers. All this expected stuff. I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy. But that's what you
analytics.
No, what you use in gambling, because there are times when a pitcher outperforms what his real numbers are or underperforms what the real numbers are. And in the case of Chase Burns, I keep hearing about, like, the bottom's going to fall out. He just won again today. And I'm not saying the numbers are wrong, but he just went out today. 6+ innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. He's 10-1 now on the season. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk about the Reds in what the A's could do from a trade standpoint. Now, could they get some short-term help in terms of pitching? Maybe. What would that cost? Not exactly sure. They do have intriguing guys who are 27 and 28 years old in Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo. Mm-hmm. As I told you, I had a buddy who's a big A's fan text me talking about how ridiculous it is that player after player keeps coming up for the A's. Ridiculous in a good way. Like, holy moly. They just have so many bats who keep coming up, and they're excelling. And he mentioned Colby Thomas. I know this is not the way Major League Baseball trades generally work, where you're like, hey, go to the Reds, and it's, guy on the cusp for guy on the cusp. Mm-hmm. But if it were to happen, the Reds wouldn't be a bad candidate to use a Colby Thomas if you're going to move him, because you feel like you have a lot of outfield depth moving forward.
Yeah.
To go grab a pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, I think now Lodolo got off to a rough start because he had a blister to start the year, and then, of course, it just has not really kind of been the same. I'm kind of an Andy Abbott guy. He had a really strong year last year. I think my issues would be Abbott is more of a fly ball pitcher, but he's made it work out there in Cincinnati. So I know that the minor league park's a little different, and, of course, if you're the A's, if you're getting Abbott, that would be a longer-term guy, you would assume.
Right.
So, obviously, we have to factor in off year next year and then pitching at the new park, which I think would be fine for a fly ball pitcher. So I'm with that. I like Andrew Abbott if you're going to go and get a piece.
Rhett Lauder's a 24-year-old. He was a first-round pick in 2023. I'm not suggesting that Colby Thomas alone would pry arms from the Reds, because arms generally are going to bring back more. But I'll tell you, the Reds' issue, while they are strong on the infield, first base is not great depending on where you're going to play Steer. But their young infielders with Dela Cruz, Stewart, and now Arroyo up, I don't know if Matt McLean's ever going to turn out. But their outfield, their best outfielder from a performance standpoint is J.J. Bleday, who was with the A's, and now he's starting to blossom. But beyond that, they have a lot of fourth outfielders. So maybe there's a match there. Parle's idea was, well, I kept talking about buy. He's like, you know what, maybe in a year where everyone is kind of close to the dance floor, there's only like 5 bad teams. Maybe the A's would actually be better off selling.
No. Now,
you said no.
Maybe the Rooker injury changes things for you, because that's obviously something unexpected. Well, not that today it's unexpected, but you figured that you were going to have him and your lineup was going to be healthy. You always figured that, and that you were going to push for this. And now that he's not out there and your lineup is kind of listless, maybe you feel like this is an opportunity to sell. So maybe that does change their mind. But I would say that in an instance like this, where the American League looks so winnable, you're only 3 games out of both the wild card and your division. You have been lifeless when it comes to races in the postseason for a really long time. Yeah, I liken it to some of these teams in the NBA that are floating around the play-in race. Give your young team a shot at some meaningful baseball and see what they have before they come here to Las Vegas.
And when they're here in Vegas, their last memory from the last season would be, hey, they made the playoffs.
And maybe won a series.
I said that a certain way.
Yes, of course.
You got what I was saying. I don't know if there's going to be baseball next year.
There's not going to be baseball next year.
With the labor discussion, because it's the negotiations are not going well. It's early on, but they're from such points. They're so far away, and what they're throwing out there initially, it's totally ridiculous. The other thing with selling at the trade deadline is generally you're selling guys who are old.
You don't have them.
So the sellable guys would be someone like a Jeff McNeil, who I don't think he's going to bring back a ton, and they should sell him. Would they dare think about moving one of the, I'm going to call him a catcher, but Soderstrom is now a left fielder. He's actually a really good left fielder. Would you consider? And the other one is factoring in, what is Shea Langeliers for the future of the organization? I mean, I think you want to keep him around, but if his demand is, I'd have to look at the top catcher's salary in baseball. Right. If his demand is, a top 3 catcher salary, are they going to be willing to do that? That would be a guy to sell.
Probably would be.
You get pretty good return.
Yep.
I'm not saying to do it, but
28, attractive age too. You go out there and get him. I think it makes some sense.
Right.
I'm more prone when you're in a situation like the A's find themselves to maybe push the foot down a bit, especially when you're a franchise that just has not done anything for so long. To give this group something to at least build on when they get to Vegas here in 2 years, I think is more important at times. Because the other part is, because I think a lot of people might listen to this and go, you were telling the Raiders to tank. So you're right. But the impact of a top pick and tanking and selling in a league like the National Football League is way different than in Major League Baseball. If you could instantly hear feel the ramifications of selling off pieces in baseball, I think you would do it. But that's just not generally the case.
If Langeliers, I have no idea where their negotiations were, where it left off money-wise. But if Langeliers is like, his reps are like, 5-year deal, $18 million a year, $90 million for Shea Langeliers, when the highest-paid catcher is Sean Murphy, believe it or not, in baseball at $15 million. Yeah. Real Muto is at $15 million, and he has not been the same player the last couple of years. Will Smith is at $13 million, which is really interesting with the Dodgers because, my God, Dalton Rushing has come up and been friggin' awesome. The big dumper, you would assume, is in for a big payday. He's making $12.6. Sal Perez, who's very much on the downside, is making $12.5. William Contreras is making $9.4. So Langeliers, from a number standpoint, can go right to the top of the list. And then, do the A's want to invest that much money in the catcher position?
Well, also, if you're the A's front office as well, let's say we're right. Does part of your logic also include, if you're looking at this going, we might sign him this offseason, and we might not get to use him until he's 31. He turns 29 in November. If there's a strike year, by the time you get back onto the field here in Las Vegas, Langeliers is going to be 31 years old. That's got to be part of the logic, right? Of maybe you'd be willing to sell somebody like him because by the time he actually hits the field again for you, if you're right in projecting that there's going to be a lockout all year long, that you're not going to get him again until he's 31.
Contracts in baseball, to me, are fascinating because the days of me being on air and saying, pay him! I don't do that no matter what. I am not a supporter of paying pitchers, the best pitchers, on more than a 4-year deal. I am absolutely not in support of hitters for 7 and 8 years. That's absurd. If guys need to be moved, you move them in the right time. But I'm not signing guys to the contracts of that length, which brings us to the NBA. I think yesterday was a watershed moment for the NBA. And I don't mean like the league just fell into place in this watershed moment. I think there's a lot of people around the league who've been already thinking about this. Jaylen Brown, who averaged 29.6 a game, is not old, was a top 5 scorer in the NBA. His team had really good regular season success, entered the playoffs feeling good about themselves, couldn't come through. Jaylen Brown was just traded as a salary dump in his prime.
Correct.
Did you see this coming?
No. If anybody did, they're lying to you.
The way it's being described right now, there's a lot of people around the league who not only feel this way about Jaylen Brown, but feel this way about these long-term contracts in the NBA, that, like, we're not doing it. And the other part of it is, we don't want it. You did it. We ain't taking it.
Yeah. I think with Jaylen Brown, there's probably a little bit more at play than just that. Because you're right, the second apron and the introduction of that has changed the way that some of these teams are building. You're getting this talent to spread out, proliferate a little bit more because of the ramifications of this trade, or because of the CBA. So that is, I think, some of it. But I think that seemed to be a personal / analytical decision of he's not getting along, whatever it is in the locker room. Him and Jason Tatum, whatever it is, aren't seeing eye to eye. Brad Stevens, the front office. As you like to point out, how much does private equity and new ownership play into this? How much does a new ownership group look at that and go, yeah, we don't want to foot that bill?
My baseball take, absolutely. No long-term contracts, no more 5, 6, 7, 8-year contracts. Certainly sounds like PE, but as you build on it, yeah, when we buy in as private equity, we ain't taking someone else's debt.
Yeah,
we don't want 5-year deals for $300 million.
So it's easy to say, all right, yeah, we don't want him. But the feather in your cap is, okay, well, the Celtics didn't want him. Why didn't anybody else want him? That's part of the problem if you're trying to make the defense that this isn't just some massive, to use your term, watershed moment that's going to show that players aren't going to be commodities like that if they're attached to contracts like Jaylen Brown has. And for those who don't know, Brown does have 3 years. He's extension eligible, but he's got 3 years left. He's going to make 57.7, 61.6, and 65.6 those next 3 years.
Now, I'll remind people that sounds shocking. Teams' payrolls are, the good ones are at $225 million.
Yep.
So, essentially, the average player makes like 18 to 20 mil. The top players are going to make 50 and 60.
And
if you choose to have someone at that level, you could. Well, some are going above 70.
I was going to say Jaylen Brown's going to be one of them, right? Nikola Jokic has an option for not this year but next year. He's going to be a $70 million player. The salary cap is going up. Yes, it is. And all these teams are making money. So these guys, because remember, your max contracts are tied to the percentage of the cap. So you're going to be making $70 million plus. And you have to ask yourself whether or not you want it.
Who does the Hoop Collective?
Brian Windhorst.
Okay. So someone wrote a really good summary of a discussion yesterday on the Hoop Collective, and we're going to break it down a little bit. But part of the summary included this. The Celtics canvassed the league asking for anyone who might be interested in Jaylen Brown. They were rebuffed repeatedly. They could not manage to get a Trey Murphy swap with fillers. They couldn't manage to get a Drew Holiday plus picks package. In the end, the Sixers offer was underwhelming, but it was the best one they had.
The Rebel football season will kick off again in Week 0 as the Rebels will host the Memphis Tigers of the American Conference on August 29th at Allegiant Stadium. We'll have all your Rebel football games on ESPN Las Vegas, 1100 AM and 100.9 FM. Live inside the TI from the Golden Circle Sports Bar, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
Okay, rolling on here on this Thursday. It's a football Thursday. Usually on Fridays, TI Vegas, but we're out here today, tomorrow, a company holiday. So we're going to have a good time this weekend. Hopefully you guys are all safe and have a great time on the 4th of July weekend. JVT is here. In a couple of minutes, we'll be joined by Adam Hill, who is in studio. Adam's going to talk a little World Cup and other stuff that's going on around Las Vegas. James, just give me the heads up when you guys are ready to go back there. We'll mix in Adam. We were starting to talk about a little bit of A's and the future, sell by and contracts. We are streaming right now on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And Leslie, who's our most loyal video viewer, reacted to our Shea Langoliers talk because we were talking about his contract and if they can forge a long-term deal. And Leslie said, if John Fisher can't pay his catcher, why would Vegas rally around him again? No one here said he can't pay him. We're actually questioning should they pay him. If it's $18 or $20 million a year, do you do that? Right now, you're right. In the past, it hasn't appeared that John Fisher could pay or was willing to pay people, but he signed 3 or 4 of his younger guys to extensions. So I think this is just, you got Nick Kurtz and Langoliers who are at the top of the market, even as early signees. Well, Kurtz would be an early signee. The other side has leverage. So it's going to be a process to get it done. We were just talking about Jaylen Brown and the message the league sent, which is a player at a super high level, top dollar, maybe untradeable. Now the Sixers took him. They also gave up someone who makes about as much money in PG, and they gave up some picks. This was initially, the reaction yesterday was like, terrible deal. Was it? I mean, it kind of looks like there wasn't an unreal market for Jaylen Brown. A lot of it is due to the contract. Some of it is due to some issue behind the scenes. I don't know if it's he talks too much or he's the smartest guy in the room. I don't know. But it is fascinating. Do you think this is the beginning of, over the next 3 or 4 years, the highest dollar players, if they're not two-way players and they're not viewed as good soldiers as a team player, not being moved because people won't take them?
I mean, I don't think so, because we should also point out Jaylen Brown is a good defender. He's not a black hole for the most part. I think he's got some issues as a ball handler. His turnover rate individually is always relatively high for his position, so that's always a problem for him. But he is a good player. He is worth the money that he is making. He won finals in the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and that was the year when Tatum was healthy. He just carried this team to 50-plus wins all by himself for the most part. He's a solid player. He's worth the money he makes. I think this had a lot to do with the personality and the issues that the Celtics are in there. But I would say this, out of all this, there's a positive spin for the Celtics. The one thing I absolutely do not get is the timing. You did not have to, even if this is the trade you ultimately make, it's July. Training camp, all those, you can wait until you get closer to camp, to the start of the season, preseason. There's no need to make this trade now. That, to me, is the surprising part.
Adam Hill is back in the studio with us. What's up, Adam?
Not much. How you guys doing?
We're good. Kind of parsing out what's going on here with Jaylen Brown, why a guy who's a top 5 scorer in the league and, pretty good overall player, very good overall player, was just traded for what seems like not a whole lot. And I think the sneaky part of this is the Sixers are once again a title contender. They don't have to rely on the health of Joel Embiid, although that will help. It's funny, though, Adam, the odds board, if you look at it, Celtics were the favorite in the East before the Jaylen Brown trade. They're actually the second choice still. Yesterday, and I'm not here to hammer on Jeff Parles, but he was thinking the Celtics are like the 6th or 7th best team by the odds board. Knicks are 3-1, and the Celtics are plus 475. Sixers bumped up to 7-1. This is in the Eastern Conference.
They've got playoff P now, so I think it's going to be fine for them. Look, I think it's shocking on the surface, but for the reasons that you guys have been discussing, I don't think it's as shocking maybe in league circles as we might have thought, from the outside on the just from the original reaction.
I don't know. It depends on who you ask, right? Like Windhorst had a great anecdote that he was texting with an executive in a front office, and the guy texted him, "It's a good thing I'm at a stoplight," because he was about to drive off the road when he saw the news. But I think what's going to be interesting about this when we talk about the ramifications of what we're doing and what this all means. And by the way, Steve, I would agree with Jeff. I don't understand how the market's been pricing Boston at all. And I'm sorry, it's not this untouchable behemoth that is always right. I think the market's wrong as hell when it comes to the way they're pricing the Boston Celtics. I think the Raptors are better than the Boston Celtics. I think the Heat are better than the current iteration, or maybe even equal to the Boston Celtics. So I think that there's an issue there. But I do think, and Adam, I'll ask you this because I kind of brought this up to Exavier Pope too, which is just, I don't think it's a money thing, but it clearly something around the NBA looked at Jaylen Brown and thought, we're not going to do that because none of these teams had any packages that were anywhere close to what Boston wanted. But I just go back to what I asked Steve and what I asked Xavier. Why do this now? It doesn't make any sense. Injuries can happen. Things can happen that would make teams want to ship off more for him. Why do it today or yesterday?
Well, I think that would probably lend more credence, although, he's not necessarily in the building. Lend more credence, like they just want to get it done and get him out of there. They've got new guys coming in that are around, like not that, he's going to be practicing or things like that, but they seem like they were over it. And it seemed like, last week they were hoping that they were going to land a really big fish and maybe use Jaylen Brown to get Giannis. And when that didn't happen, it was like, all right, well, let's just take whatever we can get now. It doesn't make sense. It's almost the exact opposite. And I think sitting around last night and we're in the same spot. I think there was, I threw out some parallels, potentially the Max Crosby situation, but it's almost the exact opposite where Raiders thought they had a great deal for Max Crosby, didn't happen, and they didn't just immediately turn around and trade him again. Like they still might, but I think that they waited and said, okay, maybe the market's depressed right now. Let's figure this out. Let's take our time. And I think that was the more prudent approach because I think you're right. They could have waited. This just screamed to me like we just need him out of here, which is crazy to me. Like he can't be that bad.
Right. But at least the Raiders, Steve, had the excuse of, mandatory minicamps coming up. Like, Max is going to be in the building. We should probably get him out of here. And they still didn't even do it.
Yeah. One of my favorite angles on the Jaylen Brown thing is the Twitch stream, and he's outspoken, and he's smart.
Well, this is a historic trade.
Why is that?
It's the first Twitch streamer for a podcaster trade in NBA history.
All right. Cowherd really latched on to this smartest guy in the room thing, and I thought he made some really good points, and I think it makes for a good discussion that's not just reserved for this Jaylen Brown trade. Fire this.
Brad Stevens is getting crushed. The GM. They obviously wanted Jaylen Brown out of the building. Jaylen Brown, I had two NBA sources tonight, two people in the league, one an executive, one a scout, say that Jaylen Brown it's a disease. He suddenly thinks he's the smartest guy in every room he's in. I've worked with people in the media. It's really, you get into a really bad space. You make a lot of money. Suddenly you're absolutely sure. You don't want to listen to your bosses. You don't want to listen to consultants. You don't want to listen to teammates. Jaylen's kind of, and by the way, this was, one executive told me, this was always a little bit of Jaylen Brown's personality, kind of the smartest guy in the room, and live streaming and throwing it out there, and that's just not a good space.
I love the smartest guy in the room discussion. Adam?
Well, he's never been in a room with me and JVT.
So I joke, you picked up on the lead-in, Adam thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
I know I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what I'm talking about. Because there's different ways to look at this. Adam does think he's the smartest guy in the room, but he doesn't act like a horse's ass and talk over everyone in certain rooms. Do you get what I'm saying, Adam?
Yeah, and also, like, part of being the smartest person in the room is trying to understand what everybody else knows and what they feel and what they believe. I literally had somebody
listening.
Yeah, I literally had this discussion the other day where somebody was telling me something about like the Raiders, and then they stopped and they said, "I forgot what you did. I'm sorry. Never mind." And I said, "No, I want to hear your thoughts." Mm-hmm. Now, I might not agree with them or think they're right necessarily, but I do like to, I like to hear what other people think, what other people believe. It strengthens your opinions if you're right, and it also opens up new questions. Like that's what being the smartest person is about.
Yeah, if you're constantly arguing and bickering and discounting what other people say and making them feel that way, then that is a problem. Can we play part 2 of this?
It used to be nothing good happens after 3 a.m. Nothing good happens when pro athletes live stream. It's just trouble. Stay away from it. You need PR people. Even what I do, when you're emotional, when you're in a terrible mood, don't go to live streaming.
By the way, let's extend it from the live streaming thing.
Don't tweet when you don't know what you're talking about.
Don't tweet. We can all name people who, one, think they're the smartest people in the room, and also social media when they're emotional. And I'm glad Colin mentioned, even in my business, because one thing you see in our business, let's just say, I mean, I think newspapers apply as well, and Adam can speak to this, but in radio, when I see someone who's had 8 or 9 jobs, smartest guy in the room, and also has the inability to stop doing the radio show outside of the studio. Like, bro, stop. Okay? Real life is not a radio show. You got to shut up and listen every once in a while. Adam, you know people in the newspaper business where it's like, okay, we know you're smart, but Jesus, shut up.
Sure. It's funny. I think we were all thinking of the same tweet at the same time. Yeah, of course. And it's like, I think in radio it's almost different that you get to a point in some cases, and we've been around the people who, like, the microphones go off, they're on their show for 3 hours or whatever it is, and then like wherever they are, at a bar, at a restaurant, at home, they're doing their show. Like, stop. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear this. Like, stop it.
I will play devil's advocate for Jaylen Brown to an extent when it comes to this and tying it in.
Oh, I wasn't talking about Jaylen Brown anymore.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, with Colin Cowherd's comments, because part of what you guys are talking about and tying in what Colin said about being the smartest guy in the room, Jaylen Brown does deserve to an extent to be argumentative / I am the smartest guy in the room. You guys are all wrong. Ever since he got there, it has been him versus Tatum. Tatum's been better. And yet, when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. When they made it to the NBA Finals, he won Finals MVP. When Jason Tatum got hurt and blew out his Achilles, he led the team to 50-plus wins. And so there's an argument to be made that Jaylen Brown has kind of proven his own team wrong time and time again. And then when it comes time to finally do what the media has talked about over and over again, split him up, split him up, split him up. Why is the guy coming off the torn Achilles that doesn't have a Conference Finals MVP and an NBA Finals MVP the one that has to be kept? Why can't I be the one that's been kept? I've got the hardware. I've got the track record of being the guy. He came in after me. And so I do understand to an extent why he would be argumentative and maybe come across as the smartest guy in the room when it feels like every step of his career, to an extent, he has been doubted, even by his own team that drafted him.
Well, he did tell us all that he had the most wins of anybody over the last decade, right?
He's right, though.
Tweet last week.
If he's wrong, he's not wrong.
So did Danny Green.
Danny Green's had, I mean, Pat McCaw's got 3 rings as well.
Yeah.
But you don't understand what I'm saying. Like, it is a little disingenuous to present it as such, Adam, as he was the driving force. He was the best player in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Finals the year they won. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he proved this year, you know, how valuable he is and what he can be, for sure. But there also, like, there has to be other things behind the scenes. Like,
yes.
I'm telling you, like, obviously the situation I know best and follow closely is the Max Crosby situation. It's different than what everybody thinks. There are different things behind the scenes. Just like this situation, there's different things behind the scenes. It's not just, wait, they just got rid of him for nothing? Like, no, that doesn't happen. Teams don't do that. There are other things at play. And when you see a big star who's a great player, I don't think anybody should really question, you know, despite the analytics stuff, which would tell you he's not as elite as we might think he is. I think everybody understands he is a great player. He's a really good player. There's other things that are going on. Salary being one, him being extension eligible being another. There are other factors that are at play when things like this happen that you're just not privy to. And it's not your fault as a fan or somebody, or even as a media person. It's not your fault if you don't know. Like, if you ask the questions and nobody has talked about it, like, you're free to say, hey, I think that there's something else here. Like, you don't. It's okay that you don't know, because sometimes we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Also, and this was a fair point that was brought up, because, you know, Adam and I are very pro analytic, and if you look at the numbers, if you're talking about net differential, which is how much do you improve or to how much does your team's net rating improve or get worse when you're on the floor. When Jaylen Brown was on the floor this year, the Celtics net rating got worse by 5.3 points every 100 possessions. The Derek White thing was brought up by Brian Windhorst. Derek White had the second best net differential for the team. They improved by like 6.1 points every 100 possessions with him on the floor. But as it has been pointed out by many, the Celtics bench had the second best net rating in the regular season. So there is some noise to statistics like that because, in theory, Jaylen Brown could make the net rating worse for the Celtics because their bench was so kick-ass, it was dominating other second units. And so through the numbers with some of that noise you account for, he would be a net negative on the floor. I think that's a valid argument.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah. I think that made sense, right? I presented that well.
It did. No, it did actually. Yes, very much so. But I love it when heads start spinning when the math comes in.
Sure. It's all part of the pie. I mean, I think Adam would agree. I like analytics a ton, but I don't think, and this is how it's been presented, I don't think the Celtics are pulling up, cleaning the glass like I do in NBA.com and going, yeah, Jaylen Brown wasn't that good this year. Let's get rid of him. And I think a lot of people are presenting it as such.
I don't think it's that easy. But I will tell you, I know teams use it very, very much. Not necessarily that metric, but
of course.
Teams do use analytics a lot. They sit there, they have meetings in the morning about their analytics. They go through. Now, it's pretty proprietary. Like, teams aren't going to tell you exactly what they look at, but every team does it. The Golden Knights talk about it all the time, about that they go, in hockey, there's a huge pushback against analytics. But the Knights have an analytics department. They sit down in the morning before they go over their practice schedule and what they're going to do in the game. It's like, all right, what are the analytics telling us? Who's the best lines? Who's working together the best? Who's creating the most shots? Like, all those things are definitely playing into how teams operate these days, for sure. But you're right. It's not as simple as, this number compared to this number. Okay, we're getting rid of him.
We should break in and mention what's going on in the soccer game. We thought there was just a second goal on the board. Croatia scored within the last 5 minutes. We're in the 56th minute. It looked like a second goal went in. But
we're in the 57th minute, Steve.
My bad.
Thank you.
1-0. Treat me like Stormy corrected me on the World Cup. The language. Croatia 1-0 on top of Portugal.
Way offside on that one.
Yeah, he was. That's why I was surprised. He was surprised because he looked very
like,
offside.
What? You weren't even
Can
close.
I tell you? So, to the point of correcting people on this, Adam, you would appreciate this. So, the other day we're watching. What game was it? The other day it was the. I can't remember what game it was, but either way, the first goal of the game, it was a brilliant shot that had like a really nice bend to it. That I think it was the Brazil goal, one of the Brazil goals that was scored the other day. And so I'm watching it with Stormy in the studio, and I go, man, you got to put some really good bend on that. And she looks at me, she goes, "Did you play soccer?" And I'm like, "No, why?" She's like, "Well, you just talk about it at such an advanced level." And I was like, "Bend?" I was like, "You mean like bend it like Beckham?" And she's like, "That's what it meant?" Yeah.
Yes. I will tell you the one that
Smartest guys in the room.
Well, the one that drives me nuts, and I mean I agree with it. I'm not fighting back on the fact that they do it, but when people tweet something about offsides, and immediately 1,000 people are like, "It's offside. It's not offsides. It's offside." Yeah. Stop talking about it if you don't know. And I love that, but at the same time, like, we don't need everybody correcting every single post.
Soccer fans, as I've told you, because we've talked about soccer forever in these small spots during the World Cup, soccer fans are absolute gatekeepers and completely snooty. And you're part of that.
They are. But the difference, because NHL fans can be like that too, but the difference is they can be snooty because it is the most popular game in the entire world. Yeah. Hockey fans are gatekeepy as hell, but they don't understand. You need me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't
turn me off.
The NBA just did 10 times your audience in the Stanley Cup Final versus the NBA Finals. Yeah, you need me. Don't keep the
5 times. I'll step up on the behalf of the NHL. 5 times. Come on. 6 times maybe. 10?
Wasn't it like an average of 2-point-something million here in America? And the finals did like 20+ million.
I'll tell you
I thought NHL was closer to like 4.5, 5.
Hey, you're accounting for Canada numbers. We don't do that here.
The debate is going to heat up after this game, though, if this result holds. Portugal just throwing away their dreams of a World Cup by insisting that they play Ronaldo is hilarious.
Okay, let's get to that, because very much soccer novices made the statement last week that he should not be playing. So I want to build on that one. Let's do a giveaway here. Adam Hill, you going to stick around with us, Adam?
Of course.
Okay. Roger Daltrey's coming to town August 26th to the 29th. A show at the Encore Theater at Wynn. August 26th to the 29th. We've got 2 tickets right now, 364-1100, 364-1100. Go to the Wynn box office to get your tickets. If you do not win Roger Daltrey tickets with us, but James has the hookup, caller 7-364-1100.
You're listening to ESPN Las Vegas, live from Golden Circle Sports Bar inside the Treasure Island.
Hey, we're getting down with the World Cup here at the Golden Circle. Wow, that would have been poetic. We went to break, and Adam Hill was being a smart aleck about Ronaldo, and Portugal's killing itself by playing Ronaldo. And then, like 30 seconds into the break, it looked like he had scored one. Adam, what do you think of the offsides call as Ronaldo puts one in? Offside. Jeez. Will you guys cut it out, please?
That he had to lean to cheat forward, even though he was onside at first, because he knew he was going to be able to get the ball otherwise, so he had to lean to cheat, and that's what put him offside.
Ooh. We got a big VAR check here. I've converted. It's VAR. They're checking this penalty potentially in the box. Adam, you think they're going to call this?
They're checking a penalty? They can do this?
I feel like they're not going to call it, but I do think he took him down. Like pretty.
I mean, he's clearly wrapped around his waist and taken him down.
Pretty clearly a penalty. It seemed, I don't know. They're not supposed to do this way, like to overturn the official like that, but it seemed pretty clear.
But can they do it?
They can.
But yeah, they're doing it.
Yeah, they can if they want.
I mean, they're doing it right now.
I mean, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
This is what the NFL refuses to do. The NFL finally did the right thing with PIs, and then the rest basically revolted, and they had to just get rid of that review.
Oh, here we go.
Come on, dude.
Adam, are you a purist to the point where it's VAR instead of VAR?
It doesn't matter. I don't think that.
Oh, this time it doesn't matter. Okay. All right. 66th minute?
I think you guys are like 8 seconds ahead of me, so you'll know before I will.
66 minute?
Gave him the penalty.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, 66 minute.
Don't spoil it. Wait. The audience might be watching as they're driving. Don't watch in the car, by the way.
Is someone going to get greedy and demand that they get to take this also?
Cristiano Ronaldo. He's their best guy.
Yeah.
Is someone going to get greedy and insist they take it?
Yeah. By the way,
well, it's what happened against Congo. That's what kind of restarted the controversy where other guys are clearly better at this point, and he just kind of stepped up like, "No, I'm taking it." It wasn't a penalty.
Here he comes.
Yeah, here he comes.
Here he comes.
Yep.
So they got a PK out of this.
They're giving it to him.
We're doing a lot of TV on radio.
I will say this:
it is Ronaldo. He's doing it.
The Adam, was that story true about the German penalty kicks when it was tied 3-3? Because the tweet that I read, for those who didn't see this, when it was 3-3, apparently the German side against Paraguay could not find somebody to take the kick because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was his first name, right? But Ta decided to step up in the airmail the kick.
Yeah.
But the tweet cited a legitimate news source out in Germany.
Said nobody wanted it? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I thought it was like a baseball lineup.
No.
Oh, you got it?
Wait a second. Adam is not caught up yet. Adam, what do you see in studio? Adam Hill's with us.
Hopefully he scored is what you're telling me. Some of us bet the in-game he will score. So.
Wait, how far behind are you?
He still hasn't kicked.
Holy crap.
Wow, you're really behind.
You really are.
Oh, my God, he got abducted by aliens.
It's
That's
in now.
17 seconds behind.
He just scored.
He did. There you go. Well, I was hoping you would do a very excited goal call or something. And you just he scored.
Well, I mean,
Adam, give me a C.
No.
Give me the C. Give it to me.
Does everybody have a goal call just like everybody has a strike 3 call? This is a topic off the air.
Well, no. Well, yeah, you should. But I'm just talking about
tournament.
Isn't that Ronaldo's thing?
Now, I mean, the fans are loving it.
So if we haven't made it clear, Ronaldo scored
He did.
on a penalty kick. So it's 1-1.
We made it clear.
I just want to we're very muted in announcing what happened there.
I just got a text in a group text called him Pinaldo. Basically, it's the only way he can score now.
Look at him.
Yeah, he looks good, though. His hair's unreal.
Yep.
You're going to get another?
I bet Adam feels like a fool now.
Jackass. You said they shouldn't have him out there. He scored twice.
He scored on a penalty.
He scored twice.
He's perfectly fine taking penalties at this point.
The other one should count, too.
No, it just – look, it creates – on a team that's highly creative and can do so much on the pitch, I'll say. I'm going to throw off the soccer knowledge like John. It creates like kind of a vacuum of like everybody just kind of feed him, and he's not the best option. I think it draws away from what they can do as a team. And I think that's been very clear throughout the tournament. The DR Congo game, they were abysmal. And it was just, let's just figure out a way to get it to Ronaldo and then see how he botches it. And he was terrible in that game. And it kind of restarted the debate, obviously. This is, by the way, this was the big debate 4 years ago for Portugal. Yeah. And at that time, they finally did say enough's enough. And they sat him. He did not play in the knockout round games because they knew he was just dragging the team down. Now, 4 years later, now his friend Roberto Martinez coaching them, so it's a little bit different. But that was obviously the big talk going into the tournament. Should he be playing? He's a big star, but he also is playing in Saudi Arabia where there's not great competition. He's not, on a game-to-game basis facing the best players in the world. He's not as sharp, I would think. So I don't think I would have played him. He would have been very impactful, I think, as the guy you bring in for like the last 30 minutes. Just try to get him some chances late in the game. But I don't think he'd be playing 90 minutes for sure.
I have two things. One, they just showed this on the broadcast. That was his first goal in a FIFA World Cup knockout match.
Yeah. Well, again, he didn't
career.
Get to play last
I know, but I'm just saying, like, given his tenure in his career, that just seems surprising to me. And two, to add to your point, Adam, and I know injury was also part of this, but, I mean, I think it's a fair comp. Look at the way Brazil's handling Neymar.
Yeah.
Neymar had an injury-riddled, poor lead up to the World Cup. It was a surprise that he was put on the roster. But the other day, against Japan, right, they're trying to come back in that game. He kind of starts warming up at halftime. They're down 1-0. And they actually never put him in because they realized, Junior and everybody else is just absolutely destroying this Japan side. We're not going to mess with this. Yeah. And they come back, they win 2-1, and Neymar, after warming up on the sideline, just sits on the bench and doesn't play in the game.
Yeah, it's probably how they should handle him. But they're not going to handle him that way. They're going to let him play as much as he wants.
Adam Hill's back in studio. It's Cofield and Company as JVT and I are manning the set here on a Thursday at Treasure Island.
A lot of football knowledge
we
here.
need some more soccer snoot here. James, if you can you go back and get the Herd USA Soccer Bite that we played in hour one? Because we had some questions after this, after hearing that cut, because Colin Cowherd's very much into soccer now. But it brings up a good discussion. The Balogun red card, Adam. Your thoughts?
Don't love it.
Okay.
Look, when the result is what the result was of that play, there's going to be a temptation to give the red card. I know there's no question. It was a very, very unfortunate result for what happened on the play. I know that there are a lot of people that are non-U.S. fans that are saying it's a very obvious red card. I don't think that's true. I think it's pretty rare. In fact, when they first were reviewing, because you hadn't seen the close-up yet of what had happened with their feet, I thought they were reviewing for a red card on Belgium, because it was Balogun that got to the spot first. He was trying to essentially box out to try to receive the pass, and then their feet get tangled up, and I was like, oh, Belgium's guy must have got him. And then you start looking closer and say, not Belgium, I'm sorry. That's who we're playing next. Bosnia's guy must have got him. And then they show closer, like, oh no, they're going to give this red card. Like, you just saw the result. It's so kind of graphic and horrific on the screen. But that's a guy who's trying to shield off a defender, who sticks his foot out to try to trap the ball, and the feet get tangled up in a weird spot. They're not supposed to show it in slow motion that way in order to determine a red card in that situation. It looks like they did based on what they were looking at. They probably shouldn't have been able to review that angle, but they did. And once they see that angle, I think they're going to give the red card on that. The whole intent doesn't matter, which, the way the rule is written, intent doesn't matter. I mean, that's stupid. We saw earlier in the game, obviously, a keeper take a knee to the face. Like, a knee to the face in the middle of the field when you're intending to do it, it's probably a red card. But in the area, when you're going for the ball and you're trying to score a goal, all of a sudden, hey, look, it's just contact, which that's how it should be, right? Like, that's how it should be called. It shouldn't be a red card because everybody's just kind of making a play on the ball. That's what happened in the middle of the field, too. Just the fact that it ended up as gruesome as it was is why they gave it. And so, yes, intent is not in the rule, so you can make that argument. But I just think you very, very rarely see that called. It's just the fact that it was slow motion, so many camera angles, the way that it played out. Obviously, Messi shouldn't have got a red card either, but what Messi did was worse. So I know that's not how they view it. They don't look in there and say, well, we didn't give one there, so we can't give one here. Every situation is different. I just think it's very easy to look at those two plays and say what Messi did is worse, and Messi should not have gotten a red card and didn't. And all of a sudden, Balogun does.
All right, I think Adam covered most of what Hurd was talking about, so we can scratch that one. That was good analysis. John,
I didn't hear him, sorry.
No, it was good.
No, I don't want to divert too much, but we have a very strong example of Jaylen Brown potentially being the smartest person in the room as he is streaming right now.
Oh, good. Didn't learn his lesson. I want to keep doing it.
Should we just want the quote? Should we just switch over the audio?
For the past 10 years, I've been programmed to hate Philadelphia. I've been programmed to be like F the process. But now I have to reverse engineer. That's the part that's going to take some time.
God, he's smart. I like him. I like him a lot too. I might actually have to root for the Sixers now.
I'm a Sixers fan now.
Speaking of fandom, are you actually a USA Soccer fan again? How was Adam last night at the viewing deal?
Subdued.
Was he into it?
I would say subdued at most.
Yeah. I think it's a good term. Yeah.
I was.
Where are you now? Because this was
It's in the studio.
I think without debate, this was the most intense you got about any team in any sport was USA Soccer.
Yeah, it used to be before 2016, right?
Yes. It hasn't changed. You're gonna let one guy ruin it for
It's
you.
the picture of Adam dejected in the clown wig.
Oh, it's the greatest picture I've ever taken. Personally, I've ever seen.
There is
at a
there
sports
is
viewing event.
There is no team I've ever been more passionate about than pre 2016 USA Soccer.
I witnessed it.
Some could say that picture is a good representation of how you currently feel about the state of things.
Adam was throwing his head back in disgust with a red, white, and blue fro
and a flag wrapped around him.
And a flag wrapped around him. I have multiple because that's not the only picture. I have another picture of you just slumped over, completely depressed. I forget where that was.
Somebody has one where we were watching a game. I think you might have been at this with Daniel Cormier and a couple other fighters, and it was actually the last Belgium game, which Chris Wondolowski missed that shot in the 92nd minute, which was not, by the way, in retrospect, not as bad as I remember it. I remember it being just like the easiest goal ever. It was not. Where he missed that shot. I mean, I think I'd laid on the floor for like an hour. I couldn't. There was nothing I cared more about in my life than USA Soccer until 2016. I am rooting for them because this is a team that I have followed. Like my dad every once in a while asks about like, hey, I know you like soccer. How's the soccer team? And I've always said, 2026 is the year. Like this is the year. And before this World Cup, he was like, hey, you've been talking about this team forever, like for a decade. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. It's fine. Team Mexico is my team. But
hell yeah.
Like I do want them to succeed. There's a couple players on the team I don't really want to succeed. I'm not going to get into why. You can figure it out by the last 5 minutes of this conversation. Right. There's certain players that feel the same way I do, and I want them to win. And other players that don't, and I don't want them to win. So, it's tough. It is tough to watch the success they're having. And I said against Paraguay, that was the best this team has ever played. That was the best performance they've ever had, and they were really good yesterday. And I'm hoping that they continue to do well. But it's not the same passion. And it wasn't like a choice. I'm not going to cheer for them anymore. I think I've told this story. The team played a friendly like right after a certain date, and I showed up in New York City to watch it, like at a big watch party. And as soon as the game started, I was like, I just don't have the same feeling anymore. Yeah. Like it just changed it. It wasn't a conscious decision. That's just what happened.
Did I read this correctly? Is Balogun actually a birthright citizen?
He is. And I tried to ask
last night.
I asked a legitimate question last night to somebody who had a very snarky answer about it, really. But I legitimately was questioning if the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court had ruled another way 2 days ago, would he have been off the team?
Yeah, it'd be cool if he was gone.
I just mean. Like legitimately, if he's no longer a citizen, is he off the team? I know you don't have to be a citizen to be on the team, but the only reason he is because he is a birthright citizen. Would he then legally not be allowed to play anymore? Like I think that's a legitimate question.
Yeah. And
the response was, I'd trade him leaving for all these illegals to be out of the country. Which I was like, yeah, they're not illegal. They were born here. What are you talking about? But yeah, that's what came up from somebody who's a very hardcore soccer fan, U.S. soccer fan.
Right.
I would trade him being out of the country for all the others to be out of the country too.
Who's the big guy on Is it Norway? Is it Holland or something?
Yeah.
How do you say his name?
Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland.
What's the fascination with him and like the fake and sometimes real memes of him eating?
That can't be real.
Yeah, what? I don't think I'm up to date on this.
Oh, you haven't seen
there's-
this? Oh, yeah. There's tons of just of him eating. Like they showed him outside of Katz's Deli.
Yeah.
And everyone was all fired up that he was eating a corned beef on rye.
There's like a great video of him sitting in like some sort of cafeteria, and he's sitting next to like a mirror at him, and he's just stuffing his face, and then he looks at the mirror directly next to him and sees his reflection and gets scared of his own reflection.
It's a face swap of a Chinese slapstick comedy video.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
wow.
say, yeah, because I don't think it's real.
Well, I'm going to make a reference that I don't think John might know it if he's caught up, but Adam will not. But he kind of looks like Daemon Targaryen.
Yeah.
From the latest Game of Thrones. But I was wondering what the fascination is there. When is England Mexico?
Sunday
Holy crap!
at Azteca. I was looking at flights, Steve.
Croatia goal?
No, I don't know about that. We got to wait till Adam catches up.
Crap.
I mean, I heard the cheering.
Offsides.
so-
There's jersey tugging.
Offside.
Stop with the. Who cares?
And it's a kit.
NFL, it is offside, right?
It's kit tugging.
Yes, it's offsides. And then,
Okay.
oh boy,
Oh, he's leaning. He's cheating.
yep, let's score.
Wait, it's offside.
Yeah, it's offside.
Okay. Sides.
Offside.
Definitely looks
So-
like it's offside.
So Sunday, you were going to go to Mexico City.
I was looking at flights.
Stop.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to stay where you stay when you travel down there? Where you've stayed before? Or is that way beyond your budget?
That's Mexico City's pricey, man. But it's an unbelievable city.
Is the
I'm not
England-
gonna go. It's a little more expensive, and obviously the tickets are completely out of control. So
Is the guys who run these teams, are they coaches or managers? What do I have to say? It's going to get corrected at every turn. I'm nervous to say anything. Is the English manager complaining about something with the game being at Azteca? Is it the elevation? Is it the hotel deal? Wasn't Ecuador getting harassed?
Smog too. Yeah, Ecuador was harassed outside the hotel, and I don't think England wants to be a part of that.
The smog.
No. They're being harassed
Okay.
by the fans. They just had a party outside the hotel all night, which is brilliant. I mean,
Pretty smart.
I don't remember a team being able to host a World Cup game against a global power. I thought,
Never.
why'd they not? That shouldn't be allowed.
Are you being sarcastic or real?
Both.
Okay. I saw that Mike Ryan from Levitard show said that the England-Mexico game could be the biggest scene in the history of sport.
Well, it's going to be nuts. I mean, did you see, even here in town, did you see my videos from the other night?
Yes.
I know John did. That's as much fun as I've ever had watching a soccer game. And I've been to many games in Mexico and watched two of the first three group stage games in Mexico. It was awesome. The scene was amazing, and I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. It'll be a party until the end, unless they lose, which it still might be a party. It's going to be wild down there. Unfortunately, there was 4 deaths in the celebration on Tuesday.
On the way back in the grad bag, got to hit another mention of what's going on with the Snow Time Lakers. And if you're looking to be patriotic, there's an event this weekend. My guy, can he do it again?
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, dude.
Reminder, great entertainment option every Thursday. It is a Thursday. Is Frankie Perez and the All-Nighters right here at Treasure Island, bringing that modern twist to classic Las Vegas. Tickets are just $25, including taxes and fees. You go to treasureisland.com or call the TI box office, and it's in the Mystere Theater. So every Thursday, Frankie Perez show. Get on down here. That's a tremendous deal. 90th minute.
Correct.
I'm learning. It's still 1-1. There's been a lot of close calls. Let's get in the bag.
Stick your hand in there, dude.
You wouldn't call it the 0th minute, would you, Steve?
Minus 2,500 favorite, Adam Hill. Our guy, Joey Chestnut. He did have a rough offseason. He did get charged with simple assault, a misdemeanor where I think he roughed up some guy in an Indianapolis bar, which I was all ready to do at every bar I went to in Indy. But do we think Joey Chestnut can do it again? I mean, last year the gap was 24 hot dogs over Bertoletti.
Yeah, I think he's going to win. I think one of the things I'm most intrigued by is all of these fans from around the world that are in the country and experiencing America for the first time, and they're going to see the real America.
That is the real America. The gluttony.
I mean, they've been experiencing it. The chips and salsa and all this other stuff. Like, this isn't part of it.
The other question is, hometown hero, kind of, UNLV grad Mickey Sudo did not perform super well last year.
No.
Only did 33 hot dogs.
Pathetic.
But she again is about a 10-1 favorite to get another mustard belt.
It is. It has. I will admit it has taken some luster away from me the last couple of years that it's been such blowouts.
Well, I will say the great part about all of this is it's being taken seriously as the sport that it is. So you have these evolving betting markets around it. So now we have winner without markets.
Okay.
So with taking Joey Chestnut or Mickey Sudo out of the field, so winner without Joey Chestnut, Bertoletti is minus 300, James Webb is 4-1, Jeffrey Esper is 5-1, and then winner without Mickey Sudo, Michelle Lesko is minus 200, Dominica D is plus 250. And I will say, you guys have talked to him before, I believe, but did get to talk to George Shea on VSiN today. He's very good.
We've sort of unofficially banned George Shea from the show.
Oh, no.
I can't do it anymore. I'm very frustrated by the whole thing.
Okay.
There's great eaters out there, and they're just not being brought into the fold with MLE. So,
I should cover boxing. Interesting.
well, Adam and I and others have talked about boxing for years. That MLE is the same, is in many ways the same thing.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
It is.
But they got their good show, and I love Chestnut.
Can't get the big fights. We need Zuffa MLE.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop wasting time with boxing. Dana White.
What's his name? Will Turkey Al-Sheikh? Will he back a new MLE?
I don't think he's big on hot dogs.
What about an XLE? Yeah, this is a good point.
Go figure.
Yeah.
By the way, another game with 10 minutes of stoppage time.
There should be more, by the way, in all these games. You look at the VAR checks, the hydration breaks.
Hey, do they count for the hydration breaks? They don't, right?
They do. Yeah.
In stoppage time? Because
Yeah.
I've seen stoppage time of 2 minutes in one of
It's
these
supposed
games.
to be 3 minute minimums.
Okay.
One more time in the bag.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
Will we latch on to this snow time Lakers thing?
Yes. I
The
already
first
have.
person, the first person I saw last night, it doesn't mean he was the first to do it. The first person I saw make reference to the snow time Lakers was actually your buddy Doug Kazarian.
No, he will admit he did not come up with it. He said he wishes he would have.
Okay.
His was something different, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But he said he wished he would have come up with snow time.
So people got worked up earlier today because Stephen A was talking about it.
Yeah.
Along the same lines, if Doug Kazarian, who is a non-white, is talking about the snow time Lakers, is that allowed?
He's a non-white?
That's what he told me years ago. He's not white.
Oh, okay. He's Armenian?
He's Armenian.
Let's not waste any time on this. Because I have another topic along the line of nicknames that we
got
must
less
discuss.
than a minute. Yeah, let's not waste time on this.
John Morant,
The white guy who's not white.
John Morant and Denny Avdia in Portland. How do we feel about Jerusalem?
Love it.
What about Guns and Moses?
What did I miss?
Nothing.
I like Jerusalem better, but Guns N' Roses
They
is
just
also,
announced.
It's
They
also
just announced
fantastic.
$5 drafts here.
Awesome.
Everyone got really fired up. You missed nothing. Boy, you are 30 seconds behind.
Oh,
Wow,
wow, what a pass. Let's go. Look what happened. Look how creative they get when he's on the bench.
Did they bench him?
Yeah.
I missed that. Must have gone. Yeah, I like Jerusalem as well.
Portugal has a 2-1 lead, and there's a lot of stoppage time still to go, but it is past 90 minutes.
Croatia fans look miserable. That's
they look heartbroken. They've had so many opportunities, too. Holy crap. That was a pretty good pass. All right, well, that'll do it. If you have time this weekend, spend some time watching soccer here at the Golden Circle Sports Bar inside Treasure Island. Adam, thanks for sitting in for the whole hour. Great work.
Vamos,
all week
Mexico.
long, James. We appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Be safe, please. Be safe with the fireworks.
See you on Sunday, Adam.